Leah was running late, which was bad dahil isa yun sa pinangako niya sa sarili na hindi na muli mangyayari sa bagong trabaho. Ang kanyang pagiging late riser naging dahilan ng sandamukal na memong tinanggap niya sa dating opisinang pinapasukan. Kaninang umaga lang kinailangan pang kalampagan siya ng ina para magising. Atalia! Kanina pa alarm yung cellphone mo. Nagising na pati kapitbahay natin. Ikaw na lamang hindi. Naku! Sermon ito na tuloy na kapagpabangon sa kanya mula sa komportableng higaan. Adi kasi sa plants. Komento ni Ella, anang kapatid na pababa ng hagdan. Bihis na bihis ito, naka-uniforme. Nurse ito sa Medical City. Ang computer game na Plants vs. Zombies ang tinutukoy nito. Sa tinagal-tagal ng kasikatan ng larong iyon, nung isang linggo lang niya na-discover ang charm ng game. Honeymoon stage, kumbaga. Sabi ko sa'yo, gisingin mo ko eh. Hihikab-hikab na sambat niya habang tinutungo ang banyo. Sabi ko rin sa'yo kagabi ate, matulog ka na. Hindi mo marireach ang 500 flags kahit maupos pa mga daliri mo kakapindot. Kasi hoax yun. Photoshop na yung screen cap ko no. Napapaniwala ka kasi sa mga nakikita mo sa Google. Hindi kaya, kayang-kaya yun. Kailangan ko lang matutunan ng tamang formation. Pagtatanggol niya sa addiction. Mula kasi na mag-resign siya sa law firm, nasanay siyang hindi kailangan magising ng maaga. Kumbaga nag-a-adjust pang kanyang body clock sa bagong routine. You know, Leah, you are a valuable asset to the office. You are smart and efficient, but you're of no use to us when you're not here. Alam mo na sa nature ng trabaho natin, importante ang bawat minuto dahil doon tayo kumikita. Yon ang last sermon sa kanya ng junior partner sa law firm na dating pinapasukan at yun din ang naalala ni Leah habang naliligo ng paspasan. To be fair, tama talagang dati niyang amo. Kahit medyo banlag yun at napapanot na sa edad na 37, malaking atraso mga katulad niyang paralegal na madalas late at absent sa trabaho. She was a third-year law student who was augmenting her meager allowance by working for other attorneys. Kaya na mag-resign siya sa law firm, she made it to a point na maghanap ng isang work environment na less ang pressure. Sa tingin niya, ang isang contracting company na kinabibilangan ng mga architects at engineers ay mas lax kaysa sa kanya sa mga abogado. Sa pananaw niya, ganoon ang personalidad ng mga artist, carefree at creative, di masyadong bound sa mga rigid rules. Katwiran niya, baka mas madaling diskartehan ng disenyo ng bahay kaysa kung paano ililigtas ang isang mamamatay tao mula sa kulungan. Isa pa, kailangan niya talaga ng lubos na pangunawa. Minsan kasi, she needed to take a leave kapag malapit ng exams. Hindi nakukuha sa isang oras na pasadahan lang ang pagrerepaso para sa pagsusulit. Kailangan niya ang araw-araw na matimtimang pagbabasa. Isang buong araw sa isang subject ang nilalaan niya kapag midterms at finals. Bagay na kinidismaya ng dati niyang amo sa Justo Gutierrez and Associates. May mga oras nga sinasadya niyang i-off ang cellphone para hindi siya makontak ng mga ito. Kasi kahit nakalive siya kapag may kailangan namang ito, basta-basta na siyang tatawagan at papupuntahin sa opisina o pasusugurin kung saan sa ang korte, munisipyo o tanggapan para kumuha o magsumuti ng kung ano-anong papeles. She liked the training but the hours were not compatible with her schedule as a student. It was counterproductive. Kaya laking tuwa niya na makita ang wanted ads na pinalabas sa Scenes and Sensibilities. A fledgling builders company na tinatag ng mga batang arkitekto, interior decorators at engineers. She applied for the post and was accepted as assistant to all of the architects. Di na siya nagdalawang isip. They couldn't need a lot, could they? Nagdodrawing lang naman ng mga ito. They would probably just need her to get coffee. She did not mind getting people coffee at all. She was determined to make a good impression, but with that way it's going, mukhang late na naman siya, and on her first day pa. Pagkaligo ni hindi niya pinansin ang pagkain na kahain sa mesa. Pinakamahabang meal sa bahay nila ang breakfast, dahil iba-iba ang oras ng pasok ng mga tao. Ang mamalili niya na nag-a-attend ng morning vesper, naghahanda na ng pagkain alas 5 pa lamang na umaga. Pagka-uwi nito'y magluluto na para sa may pasok ng alas 8 hanggang sa mga late magising kagaya ni Leah. Alas 11 na naiimis ang breakfast things nila para bigyang daan ng tanghalian. Habang naglalagay ng face powder, kung ano-anong nakabalot na pagkain ang sinuksok ng kanyang Mama Lily, ang kapatid ng ina, sa backpack niya. Mama Lily, baka may danggit na naman yan, mangangamoy ang bag ko. Aniya habang isinusot ang sapatos. Prutas lang at sandwich yan. Magising ka kasi na maaga nang kakain ka ng matinong breakfast. Sagot nito. Ang baon naman ng asawa nitong si Uncle Tom ang sunod nito ay nasikaso. Na makapagpaalam sa lahat at makahingi ng baon sa mama niya, lumipad na patungong trabaho si Leah. Lakad-takbo ang ginawa niya pagkababa ng bus at muntik pa siyang madapa sa construction paraphernalia na nasa may sidewalk. Late na si ma'am, komento ng isa sa mga trabahador. Ingat ka ma'am, sayang naman ang ganda mo. Hirit ng isa pa. Yeah, okay, salamat po kuya. Game na sagot niya, hindi lumilingon, bagkos ay lalong binilisan ang pagtakbo. It was already 9:05 and she was supposed to be in at 9 a.m. Sa wakas, narating niya ang building na inookupa ng Sins and Sensibilities. It was a 4-story building along Ortigas Avenue, a couple of blocks away from Green Hills Shopping Center. Ang unang palapag ay isang bangko, while the second one is a tutorial/review center. Okupado ng SAS ang huling dalawang palapag. Nagsisilbing showroom, visitors lounge at storage space ang third floor, samantalang opisina at working area ang buong fourth floor. Bagong lipat lang ang SAS sa naturang gusali, kung kaya amoy pintura at varnish pang buong paligid. Dahil mababang building lang naman, walang elevators. Araw-araw niyang aakitin ng 3 flight ng stairs para makapunta sa opisina. Leah shrugged. She figured she could use the exercise. Baka sakaling malaglag ang bilbil niya sa araw-araw na akyat baba sa mga hagdan. Leah was breathless when she reached the office. Laking pasasalamat niya na isang architect lamang sa malubong sa kanya nang papasukin siya ng receptionist sa 3rd floor. Owen C. was a Chinoy na mid-30s ang edad at mukha itong mabait. Kinamayan siya nito. Okay bang hagdanan? Anit na mapansing nagpupuna siya ng noo gamit ang lukot na tissue habang hinihintay nilang IDs at system IDs na inihahanda ng receptionist. Medyo mataas pong inakyat ko. Pasensya na po. Aniya sa arkitekto. Ngumiti lang ang lalaki, tinuro ang sariling tiyan. Sabi ng misis ko magandang ideya daw ang hindi paglalagay ng elevator dito eh. Anito. Tinawanan niya ang biro nito. Nang makuha na nilang mga kailangan, iganiya na siya ni Owen sa 4th floor, kung saan siya magtatrabaho talaga. Nagpaliwanag pa ito habang umaakit sila. Nasa field si Architect Matthew. Siya yung nag-interview sa'yo last week na mag-apply ka, hindi ba? Tumango siya. Madalas talaga nasa labas siya pati na rin ang chief architect natin, who is in Kota Kinabalu for the past week attending a Southeast Asian Architectural Conference. Nag-submit kasi tayo ng design concept sa team nila this year at siya ang magpe-present. Either ngayon or bukas siya papasok. I'm not sure. You will be our angel. Yung filing, yung pag-aasikaso ng paperwork, legwork, ikaw mapapakiusapan namin. Kasama na din doon si Architect Matthew. Chief has his own secretary, si Rose. May itinuro si Owen na babaeng nakaharap sa photocopier sa hindi kalayuan. Umaga pero mukhang busy-busy ng kapaligiran. Walang naglo-loiter habang nagkakape o kumukuha ng tubig o nag-aayos ng mukha. 3 lamang ang babaeng natataniya sa baba. Sa gitna ay ang pahabang conference table at mga lamesa. Sa far end ay 3 cubicles. Si Rose na ang bahala magturo sa iyo ng pasikot-sikot sa trabaho mo. As if on cue, lumapit si Rose sa kanilang dalawa, bearing a folder. Nakangiti ang babae kay Leah. Ikaw si Atalia Zamora, hindi ba? Tanong agad nito. Leah na lang, sagot niya. Sa bahay lang siya tinatawag sa buong first name at pag nang iinis lang ang kanyang mga kapatid o galit ang kanyang inatiyahin. Okay, sige, iiwan na kita kay Rose. I'm sure you'll be in good hands. Darating daw ba sa chief ngayon? Baling nito kay Rose as an afterthought. Hindi naman nagsabi, malamang mag-half day yun o sasurpresahin tayo at biglang dumating. Ani Rose. Bakit Sir Owen? Yung pinag-usapan kasi namin ni Matthew eh. Kailangan ng desisyon niya. I-handle ko na yung panibagong project. Bahala na sila sa isa. Iwan ko na kayo ha? Welcome to Scenes and Sensibilities, Leah. Thank you sir. Aniya. Yun lang at iniwan na sila ng lalaki. Tara, ituturo ko na sa yung desk mo. Magkatabi tayo, sabi ni Rose. Magkabilaan sila ng cubicle. Mas malit iyon sa dati niyang space sa law firm, but Leah liked the air atmosphere. Dahil sa pagkakalisa niya ng light materials at malaking glass windows, nagmukhang maluwag at maaliwalas ang kanilang working area. So, working student ka pala. Usisa ni Rose matapos ituro ang filing system kay Leah. They were taking a short coffee break dahil mag-aalas 10 na noon. Sabay-sabay ang lunch break ng support staff, which was at 12 noon. Oo, sagot ni Leah with a smile. Ang alam niya bagong kasal lang si Rose, wala pang anak, matangkad at payat na babae. Rebonded ang buhok at mahilig sa usong pananamit. May kaitiman pero may itsura, nadadala na rin siguro sa confidence at makabagong pananamit. May boyfriend ka na? Tanong pa nito. A question Leah always resented being asked, but one she could seem to avoid dahil halos lahat ng tao sa mundo yun ang tatanong sa isang bagong kakilala. No? Nope. Maikli niyang sagot. Why not? May itsura ka. Osyoso pa ni Rose, kahit parang chismos at pakilamera ay mukhang genuine ng babae. Na-sense niyang hindi siya nito pinaplastic lang. Taklesa lang yata talaga. Leah shrugged. Di ko alam, Rose. Siguro busy lang ako sa trabaho at sa school. Standard niyang sagot sa mga nagtatanong. Rose surveyed Leah up and down, from her nondescript white button-down blouse at itim na pencil-cut skirt, black pumps at ponytail hair, face powder at blush on at pale lipstick ang tanging makeup na kanina pa nag-fade, fake pearl earrings, unclined wristwatch ang tanging accessories niya sa katawan. Oo nga, girl. Mukhang sa kabisihan mo sa pag-aaral wala ka nang time mag-ayos-ayos. Komento nito. Ganyan yata kapag naglulo, ano? Alam mo, yung wife ng pinsan ng asawa ko, pumangit nga habang nagbabar. Pero while you are here, isasama kita sa spa na pinupuntahan ko. Magpariban ka or magpakulay. Tapos mag-shopping na rin tayo ng mga damit dyan sa Green Hills. Mura lang. Napangiwi siya. Rebond? Tuwid na ang buhok ko. Ani niya sabay hawak sa buhok. Ganun ba siya kapangit sa paningin ni Rose? Baka ang pagtatanong nito kung may boyfriend niya ay pasakali lamang para sa amin itong mukha siyang yagit. Di highlights? Patuloy nito. Magpa-pretty ka. Makabata pa mga arkitekto at engineers dito. Malay mo dito ka magka-boyfriend. Nagka-boyfriend ka na ba ever? The woman is crazy. Naisip niya pero ngumiti lang. Di naman ako nagtrabaho dito para magka-boyfriend. Aniya to shut the woman up. Pinala siya nito sa balikat. Sus, sinasabi mo lang yan. Lahat tayo mga babae nagtatrabaho para magka-boyfriend at eventually magka-asawa. Kung hindi natin nahanap ang mga hinayupak sa mga eskwelahang pinasukan natin. Diba, Naomi? Tawag pa nito sa isang administrative assistant sa hindi kalayuan. Tumawa lamang ang pinagpatungkulan. Rose, it's not even lunchtime yet and you're giving the new girl philosophical discussions on manhunting. Leah, right? Ana isang boses sa likod nila. When Leah turned, there stood a man with a folder in his hand, smiling at her. The man was not very tall, perhaps 5'10". He looked grand because of the way he held himself. He wore a turquoise short, charcoal gray slacks at balat na sapatos. He was wearing no other accessory but a tagged your dress watch. The faint scent of Davidoff cool water drifted over to where Leah stood. Gwapong lalaki, mamulang-mulang pisngi at makapalang pilikmata na kiniingitan ng mga babae. Mestizo dahil matangos ang ilong, pero may pagka-oriental ang mga mata nito. Kumbaga slanted kagaya ng mga mata ng mga exotic European models sa high fashion magazine. His smile looked friendly and open. Waring nag-aanyayang umiti rin ng ganoon kalapad ang sinumang makakakita rito. Leah could not help smiling back. Sir! Waring gulat na bati ni Rose sa lalaki. Good morning, sir. Leah, itong boss ko, si Sir Atticus Bustamante, Chief Architect. He owns half of SAS. Pagpapakilala nito, bigla itong pumaral. Napansin ni Leah. Good morning, sir. Ani Leah. How are you? Kinamayan sa nito. His hand felt warm and his grip was pleasantly firm. Si Kuya Mate nag-interview sa'yo last week, hindi ba? I was away then. Just got back today. Rose treating you okay? Si Sir, syempre naman. Sabad ni Rose. May pasalubong ba naman ako niyan? Biro pa nito. Ay, oo nga pala. Nasa kotse. Mamaya kukunin ko. Anyway, here are the Solomon files. Pakiasikaso na lang. 1 or 2 building permits need to be requested so bahala ka lang mag-procure ng necessary signatures from the Solomons, okay? Their contact numbers are on the file. Bumaling itong muli kay Leah. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask Rose here. She'll give you more information than you ever wanna know. See you guys later. With a last smile at Leah, Atticus left. Nasa alcove ang opisina nito. Leah watched as the man ascended the stairs. Oh, yun ang isang example ng mga sinasabi ko. Dinutdot ni Rose ang tagiliran niya kung kaya napaigdad siya. Diba, gwapo? Leah agreed but kept quiet. Mahirap nang maintriga sa unang araw pa lang ng pasok. At malamang naman na ang nilalang na gaya ni Atticus Bustamante ay imposibleng walang girlfriend. Kamusta ang bago mong pinapasukan? Okay naman po, Mama Lily. Sagot ni Leah. Nagtatakal sila ng asukal na paninda ng kanyang mama Vivian sa grocery store nila sa harap ng bahay. Mabait ang mga tao, masaya at maganang trabaho. Mama Lily was Leah's mother's elder and only sister na lay tag-asawa sa edad na 45. She had lived with them ever since Leah's grandmother died in the old ancestral house in a quiet street in San Juan. By the time na nakaigihan na ito ng kanyang Uncle Tom, may ayaw na nitong bumukod dahil napamahal na ito ng husto sa kanila magkakapatid at ayaw silang iwan. Ito ang nag-aalaga sa kanila mula pagkabata. Maagang nag-asawang mama ni Leah, 21. Nang ipanganak siya, 22 lamang ito. Si Mama Lily, 30 na noon. Sunod-sunod ding dumating ang mga kapatid niya. Si Ella, 23 na ngayon. Si Isabel na sa 2nd taon ng kolehiyo sa UST, sa kursong BS Zoology, at ang bunsong si Jayden ay 4th year high school. Nang ikasal si Mama Lily at si Uncle Tom, doon namang ito tumira sa dating outhouse sa likod ng bahay. Pinakonvert iyon sa isang 1-bedroom bungalow. Madalas naman kasi sa main house naglalagay ang mag-asawa. Veteranong collection officer sa San Miguel si Uncle Tom. Mabait ito at palabiro, at ito na rin ang tumatay yung ama nilang lahat. Lalo na kay Jayden, na 8 taong gulang pa lamang nang pumanaw ang papa nila. Mama Lily was still attractive at her present age of 55. Palibhasa, matagal itong single, na pagtuunan ito ng pansin ng sarili. Di rin kasi sila naghihikahos, bagaman hindi rin naman masasabing mayaman. Maswerte sila dahil masasipag at masinop ang kanilang lolo at lola noong araw. Ang kinaroroonan ng kanilang grocery store ay dating bodega at tulugan ng driver at boy ng kanilang lolo noong malakas pa negosyo nitong buy and sell ng metal scrap at car parts. Natigil lamang iyon ang pumanaw ito at wala namang interes ang kanyang lola na ipagpatuloy ang naturang negosyo. Ang kinita nito sa negosyo ay naitabi sa bangko at naipamana sa dalawang magkakapatid na sina Josephine at Vivian. Ginamit ng kanyang mamang share nito upang gawing maliit na grocery store ang dating bodega sa harap. Nagbabay and sell din ito ng palay at bigas mula sa Bulacan, kung kaya madalas wala ito sa bahay kahit nung palaki pa lamang sila. Ang naipundar ng mga palayan at fish farm ng kanilang lolo at lola, inaasikaso rin ng mag-asawang Lily at Tom, at regular ang kitang iniaakit ito sa household nila. They were not rich but never wanted for anything. Kahit nang mamatay ang kanilang papa dulot ng cirrhosis o sakit sa atay. Malakas uminom, manigarilyo at mambabae ang kanilang yumaong ama. Nagpasalamat pa ang kanilang mama Lily ng ilibing nila ito. Even her mama Vivian seemed happier and younger afterwards. Mabuti nang di ka lipat-lipat ang trabaho. Nakakatatlong lipat ka na sa loob ng 2 taon at taliya. Nang iwi siya sa paggamit ito ng kanyang Christian name. Mama Lily, di ko po kasalanan kung bakit palipat-lipat ako eh. Di naman masama ang record ko. Pagtatanggol niya sa sarili. Tinapunan siya nito ng mapanuring tingin habang sinasalang sa weighing scale ang sinukat na asukal sa plastic. Kaya ka nag-resign noon sa unang mong trabaho dahil kay Isaac. Doon sa pangalawa kasi lagi kang late at uma-absent. Dapat dito sa pangatlong mong trabaho, tiisin mo na o wag ka lang pumasok dahil kayang-kaya ka naman namin pag-aralin. Mama Lily, alam ko po yun. Pero mas maigi po kasi sa akin nagtatrabaho habang nag-aaral kasi mas sinisipag ako mag-aral dahil budgeted ang oras ko. Kapag po kasi full-time ako, masyado ako relax. At nakakahiya na po kay mama na hanggang ngayon pinag-aaral niya pa rin ako. Isa pa, kailangan nating mag-ipon para sa pag-medicine Isabel. Paliwanag niya. Aba, maano? Kung magkakaroon din naman tayo ng abogado sa pamilya, ano na lamang ba ang 4 na taon? Pinagbigyan ka lang namin noon sa iyong kagustuhan na magtrabaho habang nag-aaral. Dahil naisip din namin makakabuti para sa iyong malibang para makalimutan mo si Isaac. Leah ignored the second reference to her ex-boyfriend and resolutely kept quiet. He was a lawyer in the brokerage firm when she spent her OJT noong college siya. Doon na rin siya natuloy magtrabaho pagka-graduate. Isaac was her very first boyfriend and the relationship went on for 3 years. He turned out to be a jerk. Tinutime siya nito. Likas ngang sinungaling ang hudas, hindi lang dahil abogado ito. They broke up 2 years ago. Hanggang ngayon galit pa rin ang mama niya sa lalaki. Leah had been single ever since. Ako? Hindi ko kayo pinipigil na mag-boyfriend ha? Tutulak ko pa kayo basta't masaya kayo. Basta kailangan pumili kayo ng mabuti at kailangan makilala namin ng Mama Vivian at Uncle Tom nyo. Papuntahin mo dito sa bahay, hindi yung basta mo na lang ipapakilala dito. Matagal mo na palang nobyo. Marami nagkalat naman ng loko ngayon, Belissima. Tandaan mo yan. Patuloy nitong sermon. Tinanggap lang niya iyon at pinagpatuloy ang pagtatakal ng asukal. Kapag kasi sinagot niya pa ito, lalo lang hahabang diskusyon at ayaw nilang balik-balikan ng topic na iyon. Hindi pa rin naaalis ang angst ni Mama Lily sa kinahantungan ng una experience ni Leah sa pakikipagrelasyon. Siguro kasi ay siya ang pinakapaborito nito sa kanilang magkakapatid. Sumugod ito noon sa school kapag nababalitang may nang-aapi sa kanya. Wala itong sinasanto maski teachers nga at principal. Kapag sa palagay nito'y masyadong mababa ang gradong nakuha niya dahil karibal niya sa klase ang anak ng teacher, hindi ito may titigil kasi hawad ang magkalabasan ng mga test papers at recitation grades. Kaya hindi na siya nagtataka sa pagmamalasakit ito sa kanya. Maging paulit-ulit itong litanya tungkol kay Isaac at sa lahat ng mga manlolokong lalaki sa mundo. Hinahayaan na lamang niya ito. Naputol ang kanyang train of thoughts nang kumatok sa bakto ng tindahan ng dalanggang si Isabel. Mama Lily, Ate Leah, luto na po yung kropek at banana Q. Anunso nito while nibbling on a fried banana in a fork. Di pa man nakakahumang tiyahin ay nakatayo na si Leah, papasok ng bahay. Kinabukasan, Lunes, makulimlim ang araw. Muntik nang mahuli ng bangon si Leah dahil masarap mamaluktot pag ganoon ang weather. Ginising siya ng ingay ni Isabel at Jaden na nagbabangayan sa labas ng kanyang pinto. Nag-aargumento na naman ng mga ito kung sino magdadala ng laptop sa school. Hindi na pinagbigyan ng kanyang mama ang kapritsyo ni Isabel na bumili ng bagong MacBook dahil may desktop PC din sila sa bahay. Leah, magdala ka ng payong. Mukhang babagyo oh. Hinabulsan ng kanyang mama Vivian nang lumabas siya ng gate. Wearing only a cardigan over a cream polo shirt. Ma, makakalimutan ko lang po yan. Alam nyo na ayoko nagdadala ng payong. Aniya, malapit lang naman ang babaan ng bus sa office at hindi pa uulan. Ang tigas ng ulo mong bata ka, ang dali-dali mo pa namang dapuan ng sipon. Pilit sinusuksok ng kanyang ina ang payong sa loob ng backpack. Ma, ayoko nga po magpayong. Iiwan ko lang yan sa bus Bumalik na kayo doon may bumibili. At biliman ay bumalik na rin ng ginang sa loob ng tindahan. Shouting orders for Leah to take vitamin C. Pero nagsisi si Leah ng hapon na iyon. Umaambon-ambon na bumaba siya ng building. Bandang 4:00 para mag-abang ng bus papuntang school. 5:30 ang una niyang klase. Isang blokeng lalakarin niya papunta sa bus stop. Hi, weather! Bakit di ka nakikisama sa akin kahit kailan? Bulong niya sa sarili habang nakatingala sa langit. Kahit hindi full-fledged rain, mababasa pa rin ang hustong kapag sinubukan niya maglakad sa ilalim niyo ng walang payong. Pumesto siya sa gilid, sa ilalim ng awning na bangko na nasa ground floor ng building. Si Kuyang Guard na kabaitan na niya ay nakayopyop sa peso nito. Mukhang tulog na tulog. Nasulyo pa niya ang sariling reflection-tinted glass ng kotseng nakaparada sa lote. Nangingintab ang noo at pisngi niya at walang kakulay-kulay ang lips niya. Dahil sa pagmamadali, hindi na niya nakuhang mag-ayos ng sarili bago mag-log out sa trabaho. Lagi pa nakapastura ang mga klase niya at ayaw niya magmukhang kawawa sa tabi ng mga ito. Leah rummaged around in her bag for the water-free facial cleanser na laging dala. Pinatong niya ang dalawang mabibigat na textbook sa hood na gray ng Honda Civic na nakaparada sa tapat ng bangko. She uncapped the bottle and poured some on her palm. Maingat niyang kinuskus iyon sa mukha sa pamamagitan ng wet wipes na hinagilap din niya ng mga ilang minuto sa loob ng malaking bag. Ibabalik na sana niya sa loob ng bag ang bote ng cleanser upang i-apply ang lipstick pero hindi niya mahagilap ang cap ng bote. Saan niya ba nilapag yun kanina? She was looking at the car hood na pinagpapatungan nilang libro nang may narinig siyang nalaglag. Sumabit pala sa rim ng bag ang takip. It rolled on the pavement and she tried to snatch it up, but her bag was too cumbersome kaya binabana niya iyon sa lupa. By that time, the infernal bottle cap had rolled under a red Ford 150 na nakaparada sa tabi ng Honda Civic. Drat! Inis niya. Inis na inis. Umaambon pa rin noon. She could not put the bottle back on her bag, uncapped dahil tiyak na magkakarat yun sa loob. And she could not bear to throw it away dahil bagong bili pa lang yun at halos wala pang bawas. She went down on her knees and tried to reach under the car. Tiningnan niya uli ang cap sa ilalim. Mas malayo iyon kaysa sa inaasahan niya. Buti na lang matangkad tong monster car na to. Kasya ako sa ilalim, naisip niya. So she put her head under the car and groped for the cap. Atticus Bustamante noticed that Thomas, the guard stationed in front of the bank, was dozing off again. Ilang beses na niyang nahuli itong natutulog while on duty. Gugulutin sana niya ito nang mapansin ang kanyang sasakyan. There was a cute butt poking out from under it with matching pa-wiggle-wiggle pa. Di niya alam kung sino yun. All he could see was shapely little bottom, encased in black skirt. The lower back of a woman who was apparently trying to reach something under his car. Pero nang masulya pa ng mga gamit na nagkalat sa paligid nito, nakilala niya iyon bilang si Leah, ang bagong administrative assistant na ilang linggo pa lamang sa kanila. Isang kapilyohan ang naisip ni Atticus. He punched a code on his remote control and suddenly, the waves of alarm siren erupted from within the F-150. Sabay na napabalikwas ang gwardya at ang babaeng nakaluhod sa lupa. Ouch! Leah yelped in pain and surprise. Her spine connected with the underside of the F-150. Gingerly, she edged out from under the car, back aching and startled out of her wits. Nagulat siya na makita na masid sa kanya ang kanilang amo, holding the remote control, trying hard not to laugh. I'm sorry, were you hurt? Di ko alam na masyado ka palang magugulatin, ani Atticus. Napatingin siya sa hawak nitong remote at sa pili nitong mga mata. Sinadya ba nitong panudugin ang alarm sa sasakyan? Nahulog kasi yung... Did you do that on purpose? She demanded, still rubbing her back, holding the troublesome cap in the other hand. Atticus walked towards her, picking up her bag. I'm really sorry. Hindi ko sinasadya. Sobra ka naman palang magulat. Does it hurt? Anitong kakakitaan pa ng kaunting pag-aalala. Akma pang hahawakan itong likod niya pero umiwas siya. I'm fine. Bag ko ho. Kinuha niya ang bag mula rito pati ang bote ng cleanser. At ang mga libro sa hood ng katabing kotse. Were you trying to freshen up here in the parking lot? Curious ang ekspresyon sa mukha ni Atticus. Maganda ang washroom natin sa taas. Ako nag-design nun. Leah went inside. Now she looked stupid to their boss. Great. I forgot kasi sir and malilate na din ako sa class ko. Oh, right. Atticus snapped his fingers. You go to school. Umuulan. Will you be alright going there? May car ka ba? Umiling siya. Wala po. Magbabas po ako. Mauna na po ako. May payong ka ba? Mukhang lalakas pa yan. Tukoy nito sa ulan. Nakatingala ito sa makulimlim na langit. No, hindi ko po kasi ugaling magdala ng payong eh. Lagi ko po kasing winawala. Nauna na po ako sir. Sorry po sa car. Humakbang na siya palayo. She only wanted to get away from the man as soon as possible. He looked impossibly fresh and handsome at 4 in the afternoon, even under the annoying drizzle. And she must look horrible, washed out, basang sisiw. Nakakahiyang itsura niya. And for some reason, the man made her nervous kahit mukha itong mabait at hindi suplado. Wait, I feel guilty about making you jump like that. Iyahatid na kita sa school nyo. Total paalis na rin ako. He offered. He was shielding his head with one hand that held the keys, and the other hand was on the handle of his car door. Leah hesitated. Sa Espanya ho ako, boss. Aniya. Malapit lang pala. Come on. He tapped the car door with his hand. Di po ba bandang Pasig ang way niyo po? Aniyang at tumili pa rin. Ang weird na magpahati dito sa school gayong minsan lang sila nagkausap ito sa opisina. Madalas kasi itong nasa field at ang huling beses na nakita niya ito ay noong unang araw niya. That's fine. I don't care. Bilis na. Umuulan na. Pagmamadali nito. Tumalima siya na hindi na rin siyang pagantayin ito sa ilalim ng lumalakas ng ambon. She ran to the passenger door na nasa pagkagulat niya ay si Atticus pang nagbukas. Sinara din ito ang pinto na makapasok siya. Umikot ito at naupo sa driver's seat. How did you know I live in Pasig? Nakatingin ito sa kanya while inserting the key into the ignition. Have you been stalking me? She stared at him. Ay, hindi po. Nabanggit lamang po ni Rose. Tumigil siya dahil mukhang dito nakikinig sa paliwanag niya. He was a little damp from the drizzle but still looked immaculate in his gray sweater over a white shirt, soft blue jeans and casual rubber shoes. The clothes fit him in such a natural, manly way na hindi kayang i-project ng isang modelo. Atticus somehow exuded an aura that was so real and genuinely manly that he did not have to make poses or be photographed. Ang sarap nitong pagmastan, kahit maghapon, naisip ni Leah. Oh, hang on, sabi nito. He leaned backwards in his seat, craning his neck at the space he was backing into. Ang tulog na guarda biglang nagising, tinulungan silang mailabas ang sasakyan mula sa slot and into the road. Leah watched Atticus maneuver the big hulking car out of the lot and into the main traffic. Sumaludo pa ang antuking guard sa kanila, and Atticus rolled the window down and threw something at the man na muntik pang hindi niyon masalo. Gatorade? Ani Leah, nakalingon sa gwardya. Yup, he needed that. Atticus grinned at her while making a U-turn para lipat sa ibang lane. Huminto sila sa isang stoplight along Madison at nagulat siya nang bigla itong tumukwang. Inaayos pala ang kanyang seatbelt. You are extremely jumpy, Leah. Anito smiling into her face bago umayos ng upo. Kinalikot itong stereo system na sasakyan which was mainly an LCD touchscreen. Wala siyang maisip na isagot. Humalokip-kip na lamang siya at tumingin sa harap. Marami na ring motorista sa daan. Rush hour na kasi at umuulan pa. Atticus glanced at the girl who was rigidly seated beside him. She looked so disheveled but in adorable way. Medyo magulong buhok. Mukhang hindi nasuklay bago umalis ng opisina. Nag-aalpasa ng ilang hibla mula sa simpleng itim na pantali. Her face was also kind of dewy and devoid of any trace of makeup. Pero at least wala itong pimple mark. Mukhang hindi ito dumaan sa acne stage ng teenager ito. Dahil wala siya napapansing crater sa mukha nito. Her cream blouse was a little crumpled and her skirt askew. Di siguro nito napansin, but it was riding up her thighs. Natatakpan lang ng bag at mga libro ang lap nito. Her legs were bare, no stockings. Sa bagay, di na nga yata usong stockings these days. She had a complexion of dark peanut butter at mukhang wala itong pores sa katawan. Her skin looked baby soft and dewy na parang ang sarap-sarap isinin. She looked untidy but like a kid who was clean and pure. Nangiti si Atticus na tinatakbo ng kanyang utak. Leah caught his smile and wondered what it meant. Again, he reached over this time for her books. Mukhang mabigat to. Ilalagay ko lang sa backseat ha. Baka mamatay na yung nerves mo sa legs. Hindi nagprotesta ang babae. You can put your purse on the floor on your feet. Mukhang mabigat din yan. Thank you, sir. Pangin itong sabi, but kept the bag on her lap. Parang takot mabusuhan. Napansin siguro na pasulyap siya sa hita nito. Her voice was clear although may pagkamatinis iyon. The quality of a child's voice. Not chipmunky or pa-cute. Just young. Can you not call me sir? After all, di mo ako professor. Atticus, please, he said. Everyone sa office, sir o chief ang tawag sa inyo eh, she replied. Atticus frowned at that. Oo nga naman. Kapag nasa labas tayo, I am Atticus, okay? Leah shrugged. Okay. Atticus found he liked her mannerisms, her small shrugs, her short answers, her jumpy nervousness, her sudden burst of spirit. Para itong isang batang mahiyain pero bibo. Ano nga palang pinupulot mo sa ilalim ng kotse kanina? Naalala na niyang itanong. Yung takip ng cleanser ko, nahulog po kasi. Sagot nito. Delikado yung ginawa mo. May mga kotseng hindi nakahandbrake kahit nakaparada minsan. Baka magulungan ka. Paalala niya. At nakapalda ka pa. Dapat di ka ba sa tutuwad-tuwad ganun? Mabubuson ka ng mga construction work ka sa tapat. Pati na Officer Thomas. For the first time that afternoon, she smiled. Tulog naman yun lagi. Atticus laughed. Sir? Maya-maya ay untag nito. Napatingin siya rito. Atticus pala. Pwede po bang magsuklay dito? Kasi pagdating ko po ng school, sakta lang sa klase, hindi na ako makakadaan sa washroom. Of course, hindi mo na kailangan magpaalam. Amused na tugon niya. Lumingali nga pa siya sa loob ng sasakyan. But I don't see a sticker saying, God knows who does not comb her hair. Leah laughed at his joke, kahit corny. She fished out a hairbrush from her bag and started combing her hair. May kakilala kasi ako. He used to pick up the hair strands sa floor kapag nagsusuklay ako sa loob ng car. At bawal daw mag-ayos ang girls in public pero nasa loob naman ako ng car eh. I promise not to make a mess. Wala bang pambili ng car vacuum ang gay na yun? Ani Atticus. Napatingin si Leah sa amo habang nagsusuklay. She smiled and shrugged. Masyado lang sir maingat sa mga gamit. Boyfriend mo ba? Naisipang itanong ng binata. She just shrugged and said, Hindi na. For some reason, that made Atticus feel better. Just as well, huwag kang magsettle sa lalaking walang pambili ng car vacuum. Natawa sila pareho. Mula nang ihatid si Leah ni Atticus sa school ay naging palabati na ito sa kanya. Walang umagang hindi ito dumadaan sa pwesto na ni Rose para mag-good morning at makipag-usap saglit. Mainly, tungkulin sa mga pinagagawa kay Rose, pero naisingit itong pangumusta sa kanilang dalawa. He was always polite and jovial, although formal ito. Pagkatapos itong mukhang ipinunta ay maakit ulit ito sa gallery kung saan naroon ang sarili nitong opisina. Minsan palang naakit si Leah roon when she had to take some blueprints to Atticus' desk. Wala raw ng binata, taganyak siyang tumingin sa mga knickknacks nito sa desk. There were a couple of picture na hula niya ay pamilya nito. Katabi nito ang dalawa pang lalaking kahawig nito. At ang bata pa ng 3 sa kuha. Tipong 17 years old ang si Atticus. He was a lanky youth with slightly wavy hair. The tallest wore eyeglasses. Ang isa pang lalaki kasing tangkad ni Atticus, athletic and physique, at seryosong ekspresyon sa mukha. The photo looked to have been taken out of the country dahil pawang nakasweater ang tatlo at may poplar trees sa background. It did not look like Baguio to Leah. Ang opisina mismo ay maayos at malinis. May ilang libro at magazines tungkol sa architecture on shelves mounted on the wall at mga plake at tropeyo na nagkalat sa eagle wall nito. The office was spacious enough, designed to save on space. Hanggang sa ceiling may mga shelves na pwedeng patungan at kung ano-anong kagamitan. Ang drawing board nito ay nakaharap sa bintana. Pagtalikod sa desk nito kung saan naroon ay isang flat screen desktop, there were 2 phones, a printer, a fax machine, and a scanner. Exactly opposite the desk, directly facing the window was a dartboard. Sa ibaba noon may isang maliit na TV at speakers and dock ng iPod. Kakaiba ang speakers na iyon, matangkad at slender ang shape. Mukhang minimalist faces. Siguro soundproof ang opisina ni Atticus dahil minsan wala siya narinig na tugtog mula sa opisina nito. Sa bagay, may kalayuan din ang pwesto niya mula sa alcove. Natatanaw lang niya ang arkitektong kumikilos sa open space. Bumabait si Boss Atticus. Komento ni Rose paghatid niya ng mga blueprint sa taas. Leah frowned inquiringly. Tingin ko mabait na siya dati pa. Oo, pero on the formal side, bihira lang siya makipag-usap. Unang bukod sa business within subordinates, makipagbiruan pero saglit. Tingnan mo ngayon, Mr. Congeniality ang lolo mo at lumilibot pa dito sa baba para mag-hi bago umakit sa tower niya. At today nagpa-cater siya kasi na-approve ng board ang proposal niyang expansion. Libre ang lunch natin. Hindi ba siya nagpapakain dati? Bugso ng kuryosidad ay tanong niya. Oo, pero hindi madalas at sa mga partners, engineers at architects lang. Kami, pizza lagi. Purga na nga kami sa pizza. Humahagikik na kwento ni Rose while looking around to make sure no one else heard. Mukhang mabait siya sa'yo. Pag-iiba nito ng usapan. She looked away. Siyempre, mabait din naman ako eh. Sakay niya. Naupo na sila sa swivel at nagkunwaring may hinahanap ng file sa pedestal. Binatay ang si Boss Atticus. Or at least wala kami naririnig na girlfriend niya o nililigawan. Nakapagtataka nga eh. Kung hindi ko kilala, iisipin ko bading. At ang bata pa pero may naipundar ng sariling kumpanya. Kalahati na yung sense and sensibilities kanya. Tapos galing pa sa mayamang pamilya. Kilala mo si Felipe Bustamante? Yung dating DFA secretary? Daddy niya yun. Patuloy niya na lumipat pa sa harap ng desk ni Leah. Good for him. Ngumiti si Leah, but in her mind nasurpresa siya. Kung umasta kasi si Atticus, oo nga't formal. Noong sila lang dalawa sa loob ng sasakyan nito, mistula itong batang piro na gustong magpabibo. Walang ere, bagaman maayos itong magdala ng damit at laging malinis tingnan. Wala sa aura nitong pagiging anak ng isang sikat na politiko o miyembro ng gabinete. Crush mo siya? Pangungulit pa ni Rose. Tinawanan niya lang ito sa tanong nito. Kapag kasi sinabi niyang hindi, halatang ipokrita siya. Walang babaeng hindi magkakainteres sa isang tulad ni Atticus. Pero kung tatango siya, kakantayan siya nito habang buhay at baka ipamudmud pa nito ang impormasyon sa buong opisina. Hanggang makarating sa kanyang ukulan. Kung i-justify naman niya ang paghanga rito bilang boss, sasabihin pa siyang plastic at defensive. Parang wala siyang kawala rito. Teka, crush nga ba niya si Atticus? Mukhang nahahawa na siya kay Rose. Atticus was about to switch off all the lights in his office nang may mapansin siya sa gilid ng HP scanner. Isa iyong yellow plastic bag na may nakapaloob ng parcel, wrapped in brown paper. Sa ibabaw ng plastic ay may nakatape na papel na alam niyang stationery ng SAS. Sulat kamay ni Rose ang nasa papel. Boss, pinabibigay ni Leah. Nauna nang umalis eh. Binili na lang sa akin. Have a good weekend. Atticus immediately unwrapped the package. His bag slung over her shoulder. It was some homemade Napoleones. Napangiti siya. Nabanggit pala niya nung isang linggo na paborito niyang merienda ang Napoleones mula sa Bacolod. He was touched and amused na naalala nito. Pagkasakay sa kotse, naalala niyang dahil Sabado ay kailangan niyang dumaan ng grocery. Siya ang nakatoka magluto ng dinner sa bahay para sa tiyuhin at caretaker. He thought it kind of sucked na weekend. Isa siyang attractive at binatang arkitekto pero wala siyang date. Kung tutuusin, hindi siya mahirap makakuha ng companion anumang oras na gustuhin niya. And being unhealthy, normal male, he had his share of fun. Ang kaso, natuklasan niya na may habang tumatanda siya, nakakasawa rin pala. Ang mga babaeng nakilala niya ng mga deklaseng bars sa mga parties o business transactions, parang pare-pareho mga yun. Surface lang ang may kinang, and after a while he would get bored at maghahanap na naman ng iba. Naniniwala siyang simple lamang siyang lalaki at hindi masyadong mataas ang standards niya pagdating sa babaeng makakasama sa buhay. The thing was, he ended up comparing every girl he went out to with Elise. At hindi yun sinasadya. Elise Ramona was someone from his childhood, a girl he grew up with, anak ng isang family friend. Hanggang ngayon wala pa siya nakikilalang pwedeng pumantay o humigit dito. He had met great women, of course, mayaman, maganda, smart, successful, but none of them really caught Atiko's heart for long. Laging merong kulang. And Elise, his childhood sweetheart, was touring the world as part of her job as an art historian. Sa Sorbonne in Paris, France, pa nito tinapos ang kolehiyo. She was 1 year older than Atticus, and she was still single. His mother kept theorizing that the reason why both of them were still single, despite having had numerous relationships, was that they were meant for each other. Botong-boto ito sa notion na sila ni Elise sa magkakatuluyan in the end. Hanggang ngayon, nagko-communicate pa rin sila sa pamamagitan ng emails at paminsan-minsang phone calls. Alam niyang masyadong unpredictable ang schedule ni Elise at siya man ay naging abala masyado. Simula nang maitatag niya ang scenes and sensibilities. SAS was the product of his blood and sweat. Sa simula pa lang alam na niyang hindi siya hingi ng suporta pinansyal man o ano mula sa mga magulang. Atticus felt that he had to prove himself to them. Kailangan niyang ipakita sa mga ito na hindi man nila gusto ang larangang kanyang pinasok, kaya niyang tumayo sa sariling mga paa at magkapangalan din tulad ng mga ito. Kaya sa tulong ng ipon while working for a multinational company in Dubai, dagdag ang loans from the bank with his car and condo as collateral, he established SAS, funding half of the starting capital and the other half were put up by engineer Philip Hermosa and Alberto Samson na pawang broads niya sa sinalihang fraternity noong nasa Mapua pa siya. Siya ang may controlling interest sa kumpanya, kaya siya na rin ang naging managing partner. In the span of 2 years, masasabing matabas na ang SAS. Matatag na dahil na rin sa mga kaibigan niya sa print industry. Sumikat ang SAS sa elite circles. Masaya na sila sa resulta ng mga pagpapagod. Along the way and numerous girlfriends later, nakalimutan niyang personal life. Ang tukso nga lagi ng kanyang Uncle John, tutulad daw si Atticus dito ng isang matandang binata. He shuddered at the thought. Sir! Napukaw ang sariling muni-muni ni Atticus nang marinig na may tumawag sa kanya. Walang iba iyon kundi si Leah. May kasamang ginang na tansya niya ay mid to late 40s ang edad. Maputi ang ginang, pleasantly plumped with a kind face. Leah, hi! Anong ginagawa mo dito? Tanong niya. Had been looking at the boxes of raisins sa Unimart. May tulak na shopping cart si Leah at mukhang marami ng laman iyon. Sinasamahan ko si Mama mag-grocery. Ma, si Sir Atticus po. Siya yung chief architect ng SAS. Sir, mother ko po, si Mama Vivian. Pakilala pa nito. Mama Vivian held out her hand for a handshake. Kamusta ka, iho? Anito with a gentle smile. Nginitian niya ang babae. He noticed Leah did not get her mom's complexion. Leah was a little browner with a warmer skin tone. Mabuti ho, kamusta po kayo? Sagot niya. Dito pala kayo namimili? Sa Pure Gold kami madalas. Doon namimili ng paninda si Mama. Sinundo niya kasi ako sa ngayon, kaya dito na kami namili. Kayo din, sir? Usyoso pa ng dalaga. Samot-sari ang kwento ni Leah. Nangiti si Atticus inside. Ah, oo. Ako magluluto sa amin ngayon. Puro delata lang ang nasa bahay. Sagot niya. Ganun ba? Eh di doon ka na sa amin maghapunan? Marami kaming ulam. Anyaya ng mama ni Leah. Siniko ko ito, nang huli. Ma, anas ng dalaga. Nako, I would like to. Kaya lang inaasahan ako ng uncle ko. It is my night to cook. He smiled ruefully at the older woman. Nako, okay lang po sir. Nagjo-joke lang po si mama. Agaw ni Leah. Anong joke? Iho, you're welcome sa amin kapag gusto mong pumasyal o makikain ha? Sabi ni Mama Vivian. Thank you. Atticus replied, smiling. Nakatuwad si Leah sa ilalim ng desk. Nandatan ito ni Atticus isang hapon. Galing siya sa field. Kinatok niya ng knuckles ang desk nito. Sumungaw ang ulo ng dalaga mula sa desk at waring napahiya ito na mapagsinong kumatok. Sir, good afternoon po. Nito tumayo. Pasimpleng inayos ang blouse at buhok. She was wearing a deep plum v-neck sweater over dark skinny jeans. Her hair was in its usual ponytail. Hi, why are you always on the floor tuwing nakikita kita? Pabirong tanong niya. Nasipa ko pa kasi ang cord ng monitor ko. Namatay yung screen. Ang hirap palang isuksok ng cord sa outlet. Sagot nito habang pinapagpag ang bandang tuhod. Really? Let me see. Ani ate ko sa tumikot ito sa mesa ni Leah. Naku, wag na sir. Ako na lang. Kaya ko na yan. Pigil ni Leah. He was in her space. Napakaliit lang ng lugar and he was almost on top of her. No, let me. Yumukod si ate ko sa kaya ni Leah kanina at kinapaka pa ang sakit. Maya-maya lang nabuhay na ulit ang screen. Nagpasalamat ang dalaga. Sabay abot ng alcohol sa amo. Thanks, sabi ni ate Kos. He rubbed some alcohol onto his hands. I was just going to say thank you dun sa Napoleones na binigay mo. I totally forgot about it nung isang araw. Wala po yun. Konting bagay po sa paghati niyo sa akin sa school ng isang linggo. She could smell him. She so had a thing for this man's scent. So, it's already 5 p.m. Wala ka bang klase? Tanong ni ate Kos. Wala po ngayon. MCLE kasi at lecturer ang prof ko ngayong araw. She went on to explain what MCLE was and he nodded. At pauwi ka na yan? Tumango siya. Yup, pretty much. I see, he said. He seemed to want to say something else. Hindi pa ito umalis sa harapan niya. They were standing together with only half a feet between them dahil sakitid ng space sa kabila ng desk niya. So, ingat ka. Yes, thank you sir. Tumango ito. Kinuskus pang muli ang mga palad and turned to walk away. Nung nasa hagdan nito, bigla siyang tinawag. She looked at him inquiringly. So pagka uwi mo ng bahay, anong ginagawa mo? Tanong nito. Leah frowned. Sabado ngayon kaya maraming tao sa bahay. Maglalaro siguro ng Plants vs Zombies. Magmemerienda. Gumawa ng biko ng auntie ko. Magbabantay ng tindahan habang nagbabasa. Kahit ano. She shrugged. Why was the man interested? Ang dami palang ginagawa sa inyo. Was he being sarcastic? Pwede ba akong sumama? Napamulagat siya sa binata. Pati na rin si Fiona mula sa accounting na nagsusumite lang ng mga vouchers na pipirmahan sana ni ate ko sa taas. Si Rose ay nakikinig kung anong isasagot ni Leah. Sabi ng mama mo, welcome ako anytime. Nag-name drop pa si ate ko nang hindi siya agad makasagot. Sigurado ka, sir? Wala ba itong gagawang iba? Ang gwapong yan. Binata. Bakante on a Saturday? Paano nangyari yun? Oo, wala kasing pagkain ngayon sa bahay. Okay, biko lang naman na meron sa amin ngayon eh. Aniya, biko is infinitely better than Cheerios. Especially dahil walang milk, right? I have to get some milk bago umuwi. Ate ko seemed to be talking to himself habang paakyat na ng hagdan. Will you be ready in 20 minutes? Biglang lingon nito bago marating ang dulo ng stairs. Sure. Sige po. Sagot niya. Rose was looking at her curiously. Psst! Ano yun ha? Bakit sasama sa'yo? Malay ko. Gusto raw makikain eh. Aniya. But she felt excited. It felt like she was bringing him home. At dadalaw ito sa kanila. Parang maniligaw lang. Nag-iilusan na talaga siya. Inatupag niyang pag-finalize sa mga ginagawa. Bakit sa amin di sumasama para kumain? Dudang tanong pa ni Rose. Baka nag-aalala siya kung anong iisipin ng asawa mo, Rose. Nagbubungis-ngisang sabay na ika na biro ni Rose. Hindi na pinansin ni Leah ang mga ito. She was strangely excited at aminin man niya o hindi, nakakakilig ang mga aktwasyon ni Ate Kus. Panay ang kwento ni Ate Kus habang nasa daan. Kumpara sa office persona nito na hindi masyadong madaldal, in private, Ate Kus behaved like a high school boy na umihirit na lang basta-basta. At kahit konti natatawa na rin si Leah kapag nagjo-joke ito. Not because of the joke but rather sa attempt ng binata na magpatawa. Na problema ito kung anong pwedeng dalhin sa bahay nila. Marami silang daan ng bake shops pero parang wala itong magustuhan. Kumakain ba sila ng Japanese food? Tanong nito sa kanya nang mapadaan sa isang complex na may Asian restaurant. Sir, Ate Kus. Call me Ate Kus. He cut in. Okay, Ate Kus. Kaya ka po sasama sa amin kasi wala kayong pagkain sa bahay nyo, di ba? So wag niyo pong problemahin ng pagkain. Marami nang kinakain ng mga tao sa bahay. Aniya, We must bring them something, wine or flowers. Nagliligalig pa rin ito. Ang OA mo, si Uncle Tom lang naman ang umiinom ng wine sa amin. At kapag may okasyon lang ang nagbibigay noon. Mga cheap pa, yung nabibili lang sa mini stop. Tumawa siya. Then we have to get them wine. I-prepare mo, sabi ko. Okay ka lang? Wag na nga sir, okay lang talaga. Hindi ito nagpapilit. Nang mapadaan sila sa produce kiosk, bumili ito ng sangkaterbang prutas, melon, pinya, saging na tatandan at mansanas. Hindi na binanggit ni Leah na may farm silang pinagkukunan ng mga gulay at prutas. Baka kasi makarating sila sa kabilang ibayo kakahanap ng pwedeng ipasalubong. Sinulubong sila ng kahol ni Bella nang buksan ni Uncle Tom ang gate. Pinakilala niya ang mga ito. Nagbabasa ng dyaryo ang matandang lalaki sa terrace ng malaking bahay nang dumating sila ni Ate Cos. Ang mama naman niya may kausap na delivery boy ng Nissin products sa tindahan. Nagdidilig ng mga halamang orkidya si Mama Lily. Aba, ang dami mo namang dalang prutas. Sinong may sakit? Biro ni Uncle Tom kay Ate Cos. Inabot ito ang daladalahan ng binata. Gusto niya kasing magpasalubong. Sabi ko po marami na tayong pagkain dito sa bahay. Aniya habang ginigiya papasok sa bahay ang lalaki. Panalangin niya hindi masyado magulo. Tinext na niya kasi sa Isabel na darating siya kasamang boss. Jayden was seated in front of the computer sa sala, abala sa Xbox. Isabel was in the dining room doing her homework. Lahat namang tayo pinapakilala niya sa lalaki. He seemed too tall, too huge, too fine for their house pero hindi ito kinakitaan ng ere o pagkailang. Maagang kinausap ito ang lahat. Kahit si Jayden. He sat on their couch sa dark green leaves and prints upholstery. Leah could not help wincing at the tackiness of their decor. Siguro sanay ang lalaki sa steel and chrome on earth colors. Minimalist kasi ang taste ito na halata sa disenyo ng opisina nila at mga disenyo ang pinapasa nito sa kliyente for approval. Modernist kumbaga. Their house had been decorated by their accumulated possessions. All the junk they had gathered through the years were scattered all over the place na walang sinusunod na particular na artistic logic. Pasensya ka na ha, hindi ko sinusunod ang design philosophy ng SAS dito sa bahay. Biro niya upang pagtakpan ng pagkaasiwa. No, I like it. It's homey. At home. Wala kang kalat na makikita. Sometimes it feels like I live in a museum. Nakangiting sabi nito habang iniisa-isang tignan ng mga photo albums nila. Kumakain ka ba ng biko, iho? Alok ni Mama Lily na pumasok mula sa opisina. Opo, sige po, if it's not too much trouble. Sagot ng binata. Mabutit kagagawa ko lang kaninang kahapon. Leah, pakainin mo ng boss mo sa kitchen. Magulo dyan sa sala, Jayden. May bisita ang ate mo. Pwede bang tumayo ka dyan? Selma nito sa bunso nila. Tumayo ang binatili at lumabas na ng bahay. Oh no, you don't have to upset your routine dahil nandito lang ako. Sawata ni Ate Cos. Kanina pa yung nakaupo sa harap ng computer. Kailangan itaboy ko yan para naman dumalo ang dugo sa kalam na ng batang yun. Bale walang sabi ni Mama Lily. Nang maiwan na sila, bumulong si Ate Cos sa kanya. Where is your boys' room? I need to go. Anito? Para itong bata nagmemege go out sa teacher. Andito, sa may tindahan ka magbanyo. Marami kasing nakasabit sa main bathroom. Kahit gano'n pa kabait ang boss, Leah did not think it was right for him to see her underwear hanging about. Inahatid niya pa ang binata at tinuro sa mga paraphernalia na kakailanganin tulad ng toilet paper, sabon, liquid hand sanitizer, etc. Dumiretso na siya sa kusina para ipaghanda ito ng merienda. Dumaan si Isabel. Ate Pogi! Patikar, mapogi! Anit at lumusot na palabas ng kusina. Sa bungalow ng Mama Lily ito pupunta. Doon ito mahilig maglagay kapag kailangan mag-review. Wala kasing tao roon kapag araw. Napangiti lang si Leah. She found she liked Ate Cos around her family. She liked him in her house. Ate Cos was smiling a little when he came in from the living room. What? Agad na usisa ni Leah. Ate Cos shook his head and cast a look her away. Yung mama mo. I heard her say something to your sister. And I think for some reason she was referring to me. Natigil sa ere ang spatula ang ginagamit niyang pagkiwa sa biko. Ano? I really didn't understand it, but it was something about me being mas bata kaysa kay Isaac. Sino ba si Isaac? Naupo sa isang silid si Ate Cos without any invitation from her. He seemed to ease around her house sa parang hindi yun ang first time nitong tumambay dito. Yung upo nito, yung upo kapag nagpe-preside sa meeting ng mga partners. Tuwid. Nakatuod ang mga siko sa mesa. His long fingers fastened together. Para nakikinig ito sa proposal ng isang kliyente. Isaac is my ex-boyfriend. The nitpicker? Ang lalaki walang pamili ng car vacuum. Natawa siya. Siya na nga. That's so. Where is he now? Leah shrugged. Wala akong balita sa kanya. Tinungo niyang vegetable crock at kumuha ng 5 kalamansi. Sinimulan niyang hiwain iyon sa counter. Ate ko started to eat the biko, pero parang nag-iisip ito habang umunguya. Your mother thinks I'm your boyfriend. Manliligaw. Pagtatama ni Leah sa amo. Umismit si Ate Kos. These days, what is the difference? Naiilang ka ba? Kaya kong ipaliwanag sa mama na hindi ka na naliligaw sa akin. Aniya na may halong tampo. Parang conscious na mapagkamalang may kaugnayan sa kanya. Of course not. It's actually nice. Sagot nito. Napatingin siya sa bintana. Kampante itong kumukutsara ng biko. Mukhang sarap na sarap ito roon. Nice. Paano naging nice ang maling akala? Usisa niya. It means your mom likes me. Confident na sabi nito. Kumindat ito sa kanya. Tumaas ang isang kilay niya. Are you flirting with me? Sumulya pa ito sa kanya. Would you like it if I were? Of course not. You are my boss. Maagap niyang sagot. So, if I am not your boss, you'd be flirting back. Is that it? Ay, bahala ka. Nilapag niya ang baso ng limonadang ginawa para sa amo. Napatingin ito roon. What's that? Did you just make me a lemonade? Anitong parang hindi makapaniwala. Oo, bakit? Ayaw mo ba? Healthy yan. Freshly squeezed at mayaman sa vitamin C. Ang totoo, wala na silang juice at tinatamad siyang kumuha sa tindahan. No, I love it. Talagang pinagbigyan mo ko ng kalamansi. Thank you. Nasiyan siya sa narinig mula dito. He looked really touched by a simple lemonade. What a weird guy. Naisip na lamang niya. May kailangan ka ba, boss? Tanong ni Leah sa amo na kanina pa daan sa area niya. May sakit ba kayo sa bato at pabalik-balik kayo sa men's room? Narinig niyang naghagikikan si Rose at ang isa pang empleyado sa likod niya, pero binaliwala niyang mga ito. Hi ladies! Bati ng binata sa mga empleyada. He did not seem embarrassed. Instead, he sauntered over to her cubicle and rested one palm on the edge of the art table. She just came back from her lunch break at magre-retouch sana, pero naintriga na talaga siya sa amo kung pinansin niya ito. The Isaac guy, anong itsura niya? May picture ka ba niya? Tanong nito. Leah was taken aback by the question. Is this a work-related inquiry, boss? Yeah. He rolled his eyes at her and she found that adorable. You don't just drop that mini bomb on someone and not follow up with anything else. He is my ex. So, what? Paano naging kayo? Why did you split? Etc. etc. Women always volunteer that information on the third date. Seriously? Hindi alam ni Leah kung matatawa o mawiwirdohan sa lalaki. You need those details? Hindi sa pag-ano, boss, ha? I mean, with all due respect, ano bang pakailam niyo dun? It was a long time ago and it wasn't even that interesting in the first place. At matagal ko nang sinabi sa inyo, and it wasn't even that interesting in the first place. Ngayon mo lang manisip, itanong ulit? It had been 2 weeks since they had a conversation sa bahay ni Leah. Akala niya nakalimutan ni Ate Kos who had been busy with himself sa field. To her amazement, Ate Kos pulled up a chair from somewhere and sat on it. Facing her, arms crossed in front of him. He was your first boyfriend? Yes. Maikli niyang tugon para lamang matigil na ito. Well, that means he loved him. Konklusyon nito. Yes, muling sabi ni Leah. So that means you can't have forgotten him that easily. Triumphant itong deklara, as if he found out a lie. Hindi ko siya nakalimutan. Di naman ako nagka-amnesia. Pero wala na kami. It was 3 years ago. She patiently explained. What does he look like? How tall? What did he do? Leah looked at him bemusedly. He smiled genuinely interested. So habang nagsusuklay ng buhok, she answered his question. He is okay looking. Mr. Suhin, but not too tall. He was older than I was. How much older? Way older. Don't ask. 10 years older? 40 na yun ngayon, boss. Biglang sumabat si Rose mula sa kabilang cubicle. Naikwento niya rito ang kasaysayan niya at ang dating nobyo. Thank you, Rose. Leah called out to the helpful woman sarcastically. Naghiwalay kami dahil nahuli kong 2 pala kami sa buhay niya. Where is he now? Patuloy na usisa ng lalaki. Last I heard, he moved back to the US where his family lived at nagtrabaho roon. I haven't heard from him since. Now, is that enough details for you? Dad? Sumimangot si Ate Cos. Don't you dare call me Dad. You dated a 40-year-old DOM. I'm only 33. He wasn't a DOM. And the way you're acting right now, frankly, para kang 3 years old. She straightened out her desk sa kawalan ng gumagawa. It was unsettling to have him seated just a foot away, staring at her steadily. Do you still love him? Walang ano-ano'y tanong nito. Hindi ko alam, pero kapag nalaman ko na ikaw ang unang makakaalam. Now boss, cute ka at lahat, but you need to leave because I have work to do. So, I'm the boss. Nagkibit balikat ito. His arms crossed before him. Mukhang wala nga itong planong tumayo mula sa kinaupuan. I could sit here all day and bother you if I wanted to. Ano bang nakain ito at ganun na lamang kung umasta? It was corny at hell, but it charmed her. He was deliberately being cute and she knew it, but she was charmed nonetheless. Sus me. She burst out laughing instead. Boss, if you don't leave now? Tara, lunch tayo. Anito? Yeah, you know, that meal you eat midday, after breakfast and right before... Nabigla siya. Lunch? Boss, kumain na po ako. I suggest you do the same dahil mukhang nalilipasan po kayo ng gutom. Nagpalatak ang lalaki. You should have buzzed me when you went. Wala tuloy akong kasama. Sige na nga, I'll bring you dessert na lang. Did you have dessert? No sir, hindi na po talaga. I will bring you leche flan or something. He pulled a handful of her hair before leaving. Biglang dumungo sa kabilang cubicle si Rose na makaalis na si Ate Cos. Leah! Anitong may halong panunukson tinig. Bakit? Ani ang nagpapatay mali siya. Inatupag niyang muli ang pag-ayos na mukha. Lunch daw. Naku, paano yan? Bibigyan ka pa ng dessert at parang salos na salos sa ex mo niya. Rose, he is a prankster by nature. Halata naman eh. Obviously na he's bored out of his mind. Kaya kung ano nang naiisip. Pero hindi kung sino-sinong kinukulit. Ikaw lang. Gustuhin man ni Liang sumang-ayon dito ay hindi niya magawa. Napakatanga niya kung magpapadala siya sa panunukso ng kaopisina at umasa sa isang bagay na napaka-imposible. The man was obviously a practiced flirt at walang magawa sa buhay, kung kaya pinagtitripan siya. That was a lot safer to think than the other way. Ate Cos was restless. He had finished checking his plates and he wasn't feeling inspired to do some touch-ups. Parang pakiramdam niya meron siyang gustong gawin, pero hindi niya matumbok kung ano. It was a Saturday and he didn't have to work. He was 33 and single and he is at home with the day stretching on before him. 10:00 pa lang ng umaga. Tito John, yung si Ate Cos po ba may nililigawan? Tanong ni Alfred. Nagdidilig ang caretaker ng halaman sa gilid ng driveway habang nililinis na nakakatanda ang kotse nitong vintage pa kaysa rito. It was a 1940s coupe na kulay ginto. Ha? Wala ako nababalitaan. Bakit mo nausyoso yan? Takang tanong ni John. Tingnan niyo po oh. Inginuso ni Alfred ng direksyon ng lanay. May kung anong kinukudkod sa parquet flooring ang binata. Gamit ang tsinelas ito. Nakatiyad ito at ang isang paa lamang ay may suot na pansapin. Kanina pa po yan. Mukhang may gustong gawin na hindi alam kung ano. He is just bored. Sagot ni John at inatupag na ang sasakyan. Kaya nga ho eh. Ang inaalala ko lang po sa kawalan po na magawa ay baka kung ano pang maisipan. Ang akin ho, itatato lang tayo dito ngayong Sabado. Humagalpak ng tawa si John. Hindi mo na makakalimutan yon, Manong. 11 years old pa lang si Ate Cos noon. Ang tinutukoy ng dalawa ay nung minsang maiwan nga silang tatlo sa bahay at walang magawa si Ate Cos. Nagawa na raw nito lahat ng assignments at nakulit na lahat ng katulong. Alfred, who was only 19 at that time, took pity on the boy. Inaya niya itong maglaro. Ang kaso, gusto pala ni Ate Cos na matutong magmaneho. Kaya kahit labag sa kalooban ay napapayag niya ito. Ang binatang ilabas ang pajero ng mga magulang nito. Ayun, muntik na silang mamatay at pareho dahil imbes na sa kalye sa harap ng bahay, lumabas ng National Highway si Ate Cos. Nako, mahirap na ho. Iiling-iling na sagot ni Alfred. Rinig na rinig ni Ate Cos ang usapan ng tiyuhin at ang driver. Nangingiti na rin siya sa sarili. My, but he was consumed with ennui at pati flooring na mas matanda pa sa kanya inusisa niya. Pinagmamalaki kasi ng dad niya sa tinagal-tagal ng panahon. Hindi hollow ang tile sa produkto ng kumpanya ng kanyang mama. Kung kaya naman tinuktok niya isang parte niyon just to test the claim. Ano kaya ang ginagawa ni Leah? Tapos na raw ang finals namang ito at may isang linggong reprieve mula sa eskwelahan. Baka nagtatakal ng asukal or tulog. He decided to call her. After half an hour searching for his cellphone, Naisip niyang wag na lamang itong tawagan. Mas mabuting sorpresahan niya na lamang ito. There seemed to be no one behind the counter sa Vivian's. It was just 12. Siguro nagla-lunch. Atticus parked his car sa baba ng punong mangga na nasa harap ng tindahan ni Leah. When he got out of the car, he could hear voices. Nangingibabaw roon ng kay Leah, and he smiled. He would recognize that anywhere. Buo pero manipis. Mabilis ang pace pero may taglay na lambing ang cadence. And he shook his head at his musings. Kinuha niya mula sa likod ng sasakyan ng isang kaing na mangga na binili niya pa sa Salcedo Village Market Fair. He looked at himself in the mirror and considered himself presentable enough. Sa labas ng bahay pala kumain ng lunch ang pamilya nito. He spotted Leah reaching for a shrimp. Her back towards him so he can see her smooth skin on the small of her back from where her tiny t-shirt rode up. She was also wearing yellow shorts. Kuya Atticus! Si Isabel ang unang nakapansin sa pagdating niya. Sunod-sunod naglingon ng iba pang nasa mesa. Si Mama Lily, si Ella, si Jaden, si Mama Vivian, ang asong si Bella, si Uncle Tom. Aba, tamang-tama palang dating nito eh. Halika't makapananghalian. Ani Uncle Tom. Ano ba yung dala mo? Ani Auntie Lily. Bakit ka napasugod, boss? Tanong ni Leah. He laughed at the barrage hurled at him. They found him a place, seated him between Uncle Tom and Isabel. A plate was put in front of him, and his mangoes taken away, all in the space of 1 minute. Mahilo-hilo siya pero masaya, lalo na makitang he was seated directly in front of Leah, who was looking at him with a huge smile on her face. I like your shirt. Anito. She had some sauce around her lips and he wanted to wipe it off his fingers. He was wearing a red t-shirt, white shorts. Thanks, I like yours too. Natatawang sabi ni Atticus. She had on an old Betty Boop t-shirt. They had seen better days, may butas ito sa bandang kilikili at maluwag na ang garter sa neckline. But she looked stunning in it. Sumipol si Jaden. Cheesy! O siya, mamaya ng landian. Kumain muna kaya't baka magtampo ang grasya. Pukaw ni Mama Lily. Si Mama? Humakbang ang uso ni Leah sa tiyahin. Si ate, pa-cute. Siniko ni Isabel si Atticus. Hayaan mo na, cute naman daw. Kumindat pa siya sa dalaga. Naumani ng tawanan mula sa mga kabataan. Atticus stayed the whole afternoon. Parang wala itong magawa. Hindi naman maitanong ni Leah kung anong ginagawa nito sa kanila dahil baka ma-offend. Pagkatapos ng lunch, kinulit ito ng kinulit si Auntie Josephine sa kusina habang pinagtulungan namang itong hugasan ng mga pinagkainan. Pinigilan niya ito pero ayaw paawat. Pagkatapos ay naligaw ito sa sala at nagtanong kung ano ang pwedeng panoorin. Nagkalkal ito at sa Jaden ng mga lumang DVDs. At nang walang mahanap ay nagpa siyang pumasyal sa corner video store para mag-rent ng panonoorin. Nang bandang gabi na ay naroon pa rin ang binata sa kanila. Mukhang wala itong balak na umuwi. Damihan mong isasaing mo, Leah. Mukhang mapaparami ang kain niyang si Atticus dahil ginati ang alimasag ang luluto ko. Utos ni Auntie Josephine nang dumating ito mula sa klinik. Napag-usapan namang ito kanina, ang mga paboritong pagkain ng binata habang naghuhugas ng mga pinggan. Teka Mama Lily, di ko pa po na itatanong kung dito siya kakain. Malamang may lakad din ngayon. At ubili niyang sagot. Her aunt rolled her eyes at her. Ay, wag kang ang padedma dyan. Nakita mo ba ang postura? Mukhang magpapaampula sa atin. Dito maghahaponan yan. Sumilip si Leah sa partisyon na naghihiwalay sa sala at sa kabahayan. She could see Atticus on the floor with Jaden and Isabel, who appeared to be clustered around their old Monopoly board. Parang ang saya-saya ng mga ito. She went to join them. Sali ka ate! Yaya ni Isabel nang mapansin siya. Lumingon si Atticus sa kanya. Dito ka ba maghahapunan? Aniya. Napatingin bigla sa orasan ng binata. Me, it's 7 p.m. already. Anitong parang sarili lang kinakausap. Ginata ang alimasag ang ulam Atticus. Sabad ni Auntie Josephine na may kinuha mula sa pantry at sinadyang mag-butt-in sa usapan nila. Darn! Napasuntok sa sariling palad si Atticus. Then he looked up at Leah. Can I stay for supper please? Tangi ka ba? Alangang palayasin pa kita magluluto na nga kami. Huwag kang maupo sa sahig. Madudumihan ang shorts mo. Puti pa naman. Aniya bago tumalikod. She could not keep on looking back at him when he's pleading and looking so cute and handsome like that. Damn her beating heart! She ignored Mama Lily's knowing smile on her way to the kitchen. Nang matapos ang masayang hapunan, ihahatid niya si Atticus sa labas ng bahay. May baon itong Tupperware ng alaman ay buko pandan. Your family likes me, he said while they were walking to the gate. Oh, sigurado ka ha? Natatawang sabi niya. Oo naman, anak ng politiko to. I can tell when an audience is charmed. So, you are playing to your audience pala. Tumingala siya rito. Ang tigas ng iling nito. Of course not. I'm just saying I know how to read people. And I know when I am being liked. Huwag kang masyadong conceited. Hindi utu-uto ang pamilya ko. I know that, pero nagpapauto sila sa akin. Which means they like me. Pumitik pa ito sa ere. Tumawa na lamang siya. Hindi niya maintindihan kung parang big deal dito ang gusto nito ng mga tao sa bahay nila. Sa tingin naman niya hindi nagkulang sa admirers ang binata mula pagkabata pa lamang. Everybody loved to cater to the rich and the affluent. Walang hindi nagpa-patronize sa royalty. When they reached the gate, si ate ko sa nagpresentang magbukas ng mga locks doon. Hold this. Anito tinabot sa kanyang dalang Tupperware. Yumuko ito slightly to undo the locks of the gate. Kahit malalim ng gabi, she could still smell his faint cologne in the evening air. Lumayo siya ng kaunti rito. So, do I get a good night kiss or what? Biglang sabi ni ate ko sang marating nilang kotse nitong nakaparada sa tabi ng daan. He was smiling down at her mischievously. Kiss mo siko ko, ani Leah holding up her left elbow. Aktong hahalikan ngayon ng uto-uto. Mabilis nang iniiwas iyon at iniabot ang Tupperware dito. Umayos ka nga, para kang bata. Ikaw din naman na, para kang bata. You lick your fingers when you're eating. You ask for seconds by holding up your plate sa auntie mo. Kinikis-kis mo pang paa mo sa rug under the table. She stared at him open-mouthed. Kala mo di ko napansin oh. Natatawang sabi ni ate Kos. Akala ko nga you were playing footsie with me. Dagdag pa nito. Kinarot ni Leah ang ilong nito. I wasn't. Manisyoso ka. Ngayon naman nagpapakit ka. He grinned. Then he stared at her some more. Nakakailang na talagang inaasan nito. And you sure you don't want that kiss? Because I'm dying to give it to you. Nanunokso nitong anas. She decided to play him at his own game. Mister, manligaw ka muna bago ka manghingi ng kiss. Mistulang napatdam binata nang sabihin ni Leah iyon. He suddenly stopped smiling. Tumalikod ito sa kanya at binuksan ng passenger door na escape. Ipinasok doon ang Tupperware and shut the door. So thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun. Anito, nakangiti na ulit pero wala na ang pinilitong aura kani-kanina lang. I hope hindi ko sinira ang Saturday mo. Nalilito man, sumagot pa rin si Leah. It's fine. Ingat ka sa pagmamaneho. Ani at naglakad na pabalik sa bahay nila. She felt confused and a little embarrassed. Manligaw? As if. How could she have said it to him? Psst. Leah looked up and she saw Ate Kos, hurrying to catch up with her. It had been 2 weeks since she last heard of him. Pauwi ka na? Anito nang maabutan siya. Well, tumingin si Leah sa wristwatch. It's 5 in the afternoon. Dala ko ng bag ko and I'm standing on the bus stop. Ngumiti ito. Nagtatampo ka ba sa akin? Anito. He did something surprising. He rubbed the side of her chin with his thumb. Right there on the street, sa sakayan ng bus where the construction workers, motorists and jeepney passengers could see. Iniiwas niya ang mukha mula sa kamay nito. Nagtatampo ka nga. Sige, I'll make it up to you. I'll make you dinner. How about that? Hindi ako nagtatampo. Bakit ako magtatampo? Aniya, determinedly avoiding his eyes. Hindi niya maintindihan kung bakit ganun tumakaasta na parang baliwalang 2 linggo na hindi siya nito kinausap. Hindi rin ito dumaan man lamang sa desk niya. Ni text o tawag wala. Pero bakit niya hahanapin yun? Boyfriend niya ba to? Baka mapahiya lang siya kapag sinabi niya mga iniisip. But he was acting as if she had the right to say those things. Nalilito na siya. Sorry na, Leah. I was away on a trip. Sinabi sa'yo ni Rose, diba? Yup, 3 days after you left. At sa tingin mo ba dapat kitang ipagtanong sa sekretarya mo? He looked immediately contrite. You're right. I should have told you myself. It was just... No, hindi ang ibig kong sabihin. I mean, ewan ko sa'yo. She started to walk away. Hindi rin niya maintindihan ang sarili. She was behaving like a teenager. Pakipot na teenager. Totoo na sumama ang loob niya nang malamang nasa Singapore ito mula kay Rose na hindi man lang nagpaalam sa kanya. And now he was apologizing at tumaas na siyang offended na nag-apologize ito. Doggedly, he followed. Sinubukan nitong kunin ang kanyang book bag pero hinaklit niya iyon palayo. She had wanted to act cool and indifferent pero ito siya ngayon. Parang nagmamaktol na girlfriend. She wanted to punch herself. At the same time, may bumabangang kilig sa paghahabol ng binata sa kanya. She wanted to punch herself even more. Biglaan yung conference. We had been trying to get into this architectural society sa Asia, and we were invited and I had to go put our company in the map. That I had to go to Seoul para sa mga suppliers natin. I had been working while away. And di ba nabanggit mo midterms mo so hindi na kita inestorbo? And what? When you got back, hindi ka na pumasok? Or pumasok ka man sa office, umalis ka agad? And you don't even think to say hi or why are you even explaining? Angil niya. Because you are demanding it with your behavior. Mahinahong sagot nito. He got hold of her arm and forced her to stop poking. Sumama ka na sa akin. Let's be friends again. Magluluto ako for you. There, he said it. Natahimik siya. She looked at his earnest face. Ni hindi ito pinawisan sa marathon nilang dalawa. He still looked fresh, unruffled in his deep green golf shirt and faded jeans. Let's be friends daw. Eto naman siya nag-feeling na parang girlfriend kung makadima na explanation mula rito. She hunched over like a deflated balloon. Okay, it's fine. But I cannot go with you on your dinner. Sa ibang araw na lang. Bakit? Wala kang klase. Tinanong ko si Rose, sabi niya uuwi ka na daw at Monday pang classes mo. Sabi pa nito, the clueless SOB. Mag-aaral pa ako. Aniya? Well, it won't take long. I will drive you home before 8 p.m. Promise. Leah hesitated. Then ate ko said, did you know? I missed you. Tumingala siya sa binata. Stunned by the last thing he said, she missed him too. And thinking that he was turned off by what she said last time tungkol sa panaligaw nito, made her squirm with shame inside. Against her better judgment, she nodded. Okay. Atikos lived in Valle Verde. His house was one of those well-kept houses na halatang lumang estilo pero na-maintain pa rin ang charm through the decades. Mahaba ang circular driveway. A man named Alfred parked the car for them. Tahimik sa buong kabahayan and their steps echoed on the tiled floor. Atiko switched on the lights as they went. Ikaw lang ba mag-isa dito? Tanong ni Leah sa lalaki. The house looked clean and tidy, but empty. My uncle lives with me, at si Kuya Lord, and my parents visit occasionally. This is our family home when I was growing up. But then after my dad's stint as DFA secretary, he had to establish residence sa Algiers when he was appointed consul and then afterwards sa Austria. He and mom liked Europe, so they eventually bought a home and they stayed there. May condo din ako but I'm selling it because mama asked that I stayed here. It was falling into disrepair na rin and I loved this house when I was growing up, so I came back. Sayang at wala si uncle dito. He would have liked to meet you. Na isang sekretary ng kumpanya mo? Namamahala ba siya ng employment agency? She teased. They had reached the dining room. Nilingon siya nito, an answering smile on his face. You're teasing me. That's better. That means you're over being mad at me. Leah shrugged. Wala naman akong dapat ikagalit. Wrong. And I like that you acted like this, demanding. Furious girlfriend and I had to explain. At least I was getting a reaction from you. Leah fought hard not to blush, but she was blushing. Clearly, pinagtatawanan siya nito. Unang pagtakpan ang kahiyan, pinagtuunan niya ng pansin ng mga picture frames na nakapatong sa mantelpiece sa hindi kanayuan. There was one of Atticus who looked to be around 15 and a girl standing together in what looked to be a party clothes noong early 90s. Payatot si Atticus, but his smile looked exactly the same. Mischievous, boyish, winsome. The girl beside him looked like a slender Donita Rose in her mid-teens. Mestiza, nakapusod ang buhok, wearing a white flory sleeveless dress and a corsage in her wrist. She was lovely and they made a lovely picture together. Sino siya? Tanong niya kay Atticus habang hawak ang larawan. Oh, that's a family friend. That is prom night nung high school. Mom was always taking pictures. Now, what would you like to eat? Ang ganda niya. Komento pa niya. She couldn't help it. Family friends seemed to glib. Kung kaklase lang yun nakaparehan ni ate ko sa prom, bakit kailangan kasali ito sa family photos na nakadisplay sa bahay ng mga to? Atticus looked over at the photo. Her? Oh yeah. Mom used to call her the Philippines Audrey Hepburn. Pasta or steak? She did look like Audrey Hepburn. Only may boobs at palakang teenager sa picture. Di kagaya ng Hollywood icon na sinasabi ni Atticus. Leah gave the photo one last look and answered. Pasta na lang. Tulungan na kitang gumawa. Oh no! Sa daming beses ko na nakikain sa inyo, dapat ako naman na magsilbi sa'yo. but do keep me company while I cook." He started opening cupboards and looking into the refrigerator. Umupo si Leah sa isa sa mga stools na nakapalibot sa kitchen table. May sink sa gitna niyon at isang maluwag na bowl na naglalaman ng sari-saring prutas. Sa taas ay nakasabit ang sari-saring pots and pans. The kitchen looked like something makikita sa Architectural Digest. Wala kang maid pero para magluto para sa'yo? Or maglinis itong house? Well, we have a couple of people who come in twice a week to clean and do the laundry. But between the three of us, si Uncle, Kuya Lord and me, we manage fine. Besides, I'm away a lot so wala talagang point to set up permanent housekeeping. Bachelors can live on anything. Atticus grinned at her while he laid out some onions to chop. So araw-araw lagi ka nagluluto? Nangalumbaba siya habang pinapanood ito. No, most of the time I order in for the three of us. Sometimes I eat out before I go home. You have so many questions. He reached over to pinch her cheek. She laughed a little. His touch always came as a surprise. Surprises she did not exactly dislike. Gusto ko lang malaman kung paano ka nabubuhay nang walang ibang katulong. Jaden can find his brief without shouting for Mama or Mama Lily. Nakakahiyang kapatid kong yun. Ang swerte nga ni Jaden, nakakaingit siya. Ani Atticus. Bakit naman? Tanong niya. Well, I grew up with my two kuyas. Si Kuya Travis, then si Kuya Austin. They're both overachievers. Kuya Travis got into Harvard Law. Kuya Austin studied microbiology at Oxford. That time kasi nakabase ang mga parents ko sa Europe. So they opted for a European education. They also wanted me to follow them but I came back after a year. I don't like the weather, the food. I was very homesick. It was a big deal for my family too. When at 18, I flew back here and went to Mapua instead. I wanted to be an architect. My family dreaded the fact that I wanted to be in the arts because they were all into what they call solid fields. My dad was a politician through and through, even when he is now just serving as an advisor at Philippine Embassy in the UK. Ang mga kuya ko, abogado at scientist. Si mama, businesswoman. At ako gusto ko mag-drawing. That's how they put my career. So as punishment, they let me go and only sent money regularly. Si uncle lang di nakatiis and he moved in with me to take care of me. Kuya Alfred had always been here. Sila na nakalakhan ko ever since. Even when I was growing up, maids took care of us, or yayas, because neither of my parents were ever home. Don't get me wrong, I love my mom and dad. They were very devoted. They only want what's best for us. They challenged us and gave us the best of opportunities to advance ourselves. The best schools, the best clothes, the best sports clinic, and the best tutors. Sometimes though, in their efforts to give us the best, they simply forget that we're just kids who only wanted their time. I know this may seem like pity winning. I've been giving so much blessings at hindi ako nagkikahusgahan ng marami. But I would have loved to trade with your brother Jaden. Surrounded by people who's always there when I come home, who could take care of me no matter what. Leah was moved by what she was hearing. She had always been turned off by men who talked too much of themselves. But Atticus, when he talked, he sounded like he is sharing a part of him that he rarely ever shared with someone else. She imagined him as a teenager doing his own homework, coming home to an empty house, uncle at driver lang kasama at pwedeng kausapin. Her heart went out to the young Atticus she imagined. I would have been lucky to be your sister. Tangi niyang sinabi. Nakalimutan ang tampo sa disappearance nito. He was just Atticus again. Vulnerable, kind, funny, charming. Really? Atticus' eyes twinkled. He was already adding salt to the pasta noodles in the pot. He had been talking while cooking. He moved gracefully. Walang aksayadong galaw. Pwedeng-pwede tong cooking show host sa TV. He would win moms over with his charming manner. Disarm the most rigid woman with his boyish smile. Yeah. Well, I have always wanted a sister. Yung pwede kong lambingin? Pwede ka bang ganon? Tumitig ito sa kanya. Gagawin siyang ate? Leah shrugged. Sure, whatever. Hindi ka kaya magkaroon ng incestuous feeling sa akin. He was looking at her in such a way na hindi mapagkakamalang brotherly. Nakataas ang isa nitong kilay, his eyes rolling all over her face, and his lips were upturned in a mischievous smile. He was definitely flirting with her. She stood up. You're gross. Anya at ininusyoso ang bintana sa kitchen, kung saan ang tanaw ang lanay sa gilid ng bahay. Where are you going? Atticus rapidly followed Leah, surprising her by wrapping his arms around her waist and scooping her up in the air in a tight hug. Atikos! She yelled breathlessly. Ang pikon mo talaga, no? He whispered in her ear. Nangilabot si Leah. Her ear was one of the most ticklish parts of her body, and it felt like he was kissing her ear. Ibaba mo ako, please. Halos bulong na lamang niyang sabi. Baka may makakita sa atin kung anong isipin. Not only pikon but malicious-minded. As far as we're concerned, we're just brother and sister having fun here. Atticus whirled her around until he faced her. Binaba siya nito pero hindi siya pinakawalan. They were now standing face to face. Ang cute mo. If I could, I would just pick you up and put you in my pocket. You don't weigh a thing. Kumakain ka ba ng mabuti? She could not utter a word. She was too aware of Atticus, his maleness, his manly strength beneath his apron, the tight hold he had around her waist, his smell, his voice. Maluloka na siya. If this was just a game to him, she was definitely on the losing end. Atticus, please, let me go. He looked at her for a few seconds, and seeing the discomfort in her face, let her go so suddenly she had to steady herself with her hand on the windowsill. Tumalikod ang lalaki at tinungan na kasalang na noodles. It is almost ready, Leah. Help me set the table sa lanay. Halika. Sumunod siya ng walang kibo. Naluloko na talaga siya sa pabiglabi na itong pag-shift ng gears. Madaling naluto ang pasta dish ni Atticus. It was a simple fare, with olives, chives, tomatoes, and olive oil. He sprinkled a generous heaping of parmesan on her plate before returning with a bottle of red wine. I thought I would have to serve you with soda, and then I discovered may natira pa pala from Kuya Chavez's last visit. Cheerful na bungad ang binata while placing the bottle in a bucket filled with ice. Sa metal table na nasa corner ng malawak na lanay sila pumesto, kung saan tanaw nila ang Zen garden sa gilid ng bahay at ang kalsadang tahimik sa harapan. There was an odd assortment of antique jars, furniture made of wood, at isang estatwa ng kirub na may pasang banga kung saan may tumataga sa tubig bababa sa paanan nito. A miniature fountain. The evening care was cool and Atticus had put a vinyl record on the old-fashioned player sa grand living room. The music floated to them. Atticus poured wine on their goblets. It was Chianti, and Dia instinctively knew na mamahalin at galing pa sa ibang bansa ang inumin na yun. Unlike the cheap 200 a bottle na mabibili sa grocery stores, nakaraniwan niyang pangregalo kapag iniimbitan siya sa mga handaan ng dating bosses na lawyers. Let's make a toast to you acing your finals, ani Atticus while holding his glass aloft. Thank you, and to you, to winning the bidding sa Jumoyo International. Ani ang tinutukoy ang pinakabago nilang sinusuyong kumpanya. Their glasses clinked together, and they both sipped from their glasses. She laughed to dispel the tension. Dahil nakatingin lang na walang korap si Atticus sa kanya, para itong eng-eng. I feel like I'm a grown-up, drinking wine from a prosper glass and all. Aniya kapag daka. You are pretty when your makeup is fading. Sigot nito with a slight smile on his face. He reached over to touch her cheek again. Na-conscious si Leah. Her makeup was fading na raw. Malamang ang putla na niya dahil wala ng blush at lipstick niya. Don't be nervous. I like it when you chattel and don't mind me. Sige, kumain na tayo. Itong nagsimula nang ang kumain. Ginaya niya ito. The food was still piping hot and it was delicious. Not heavy like the usual spaghetti she made at home. Loaded with ground pork and hot dogs. It was a simple light fare and she liked it. Masarap! Turuan mo akong gumawa nito. I-introduce ko mga tao sa bahay sa pasang walang hotdogs. Aniya. The man laughed. Kanya-kanyang taste lang yan. I just prefer to use real cherry tomatoes on my pasta instead of canned tomato sauce. It is lighter and I like a little bit sour. Paliwanag nito. They enjoyed talking while the meal progressed and Leah found herself relaxing. Maybe it was the wine. Masarap kasi kaya mapapainom siya na animoy tubig yon. And Atticus was a very gracious host. Makwento at kengkoy. He touched her often, pinching her cheek or tapping her forearm. And maybe it was the music or everything. Nang maubos ng pasta, kumuha ng cheesecake si Atticus at tinilbahan pa siya. Gumagawa ang wife ni JP nito. I bought a couple of boxes. May sweet tooth kasi ang mga tao dito sa bahay, including me. Kwento nito sabay kindat. Si JP ay isa sa mga architect sa SAS. Masarap din ang cheesecake. Leah finished hers off in no more than 10 minutes. Tumawa si Atticus sa bilis niyang kumain. Nagmamadali ka ba? I told you I will drive you home. No, masarap lang kasi. Kudos to JP's misis. Maluwang ang ngiti niya. Sumandal siya sa upuan. She was feeling pleasantly drowsy from the wine. Oh no! Are you drunk? You've finished 3 glasses. Anito? No, syempre hindi ako lasing. I would be asleep if I'm lasing. Aniya. Umiling-iling ito. Ililapit ito ang sariling upuan sa kanya. She straightened. What are you doing? Tumatabi sa'yo. Ang layo mo kasi. Anito na parang normal lang yon. Bakit kailangan malapit ka? Aniya. Suspicious. So I can smell you. You always smell like mangoes. Sagot ito na sininghot-singhot pa ang buhok niya. It definitely is the wine. Naisip niya na hindi malamang ang layo ang sarili. Pagkos ay nanatili siya sa posisyon. Ulo para maisandal iyon sa balikat ni Atticus. That's better. He murmured and kissed the top of her head. They did not talk anymore. Just sat there in the darkened lanai with only the fairy lights in the garden and the faint light from the house illuminating their table. It was imminent that they kiss. Sa utak ni Leah parang yun ang dapat na susunod na mangyayari, and she did not even question it. Atticus' warmth was enervating her in such a way that no energy drink could ever. His nearness electrified her. His smell intoxicated her more than the Chianti. Bawat himaymay ng katawan niya ay atsyon sa bawat kilos ng binata. She wasn't sure who moved first, but when she turned her head towards him, he was ready for her and their lips met. His lips tasted sweet and firm, and it was like they were discovering each other tentatively. Matapos ang ilang sandali, their gentle nibbling turned into a full-blown kiss that quite melted Leah's senses away. She parted her lips and Atticus took the invitation eagerly. Her hand went out to the back of Atticus' neck and caressed his nape. His hand slid down her arm. He was cradling her head so she responded in kind to his kisses. It was a long while before they broke off, and that was because they heard a sound in the driveway. Parang nagulat na kumawala si Leah mula kay Atticus. Pareho silang bagyang iningal ng magkahiwalay. Atticus was looking down at her with a curious expression on his face, but he did not prevent her from moving away. May tao, she said uselessly. May kotseng pumarada sa garahe sa tapat. Her heart was beating away frantically inside her chest. Kailangan niyang bawiin ang hininga. Si Uncle na yata yon. Stay here and I will introduce you. Ani Atticus who stood up. Okay, pero kailangan ko nang umuwi. It is almost 9. Sagot niya. Mukhang may sasabihin pa si Atticus pero tumungo lamang ito at pumasok na pabalik ng bahay. Inayos ni Leah ang sarili. Nagulo ang kanyang buhok kung kaya sinuklay niya iyon sa pamamagitan ng daliri. Nasa foyer ang kanyang purse. Doon niya iniwan kanina pagkapasok sa bahay. Ayon na rin sa suggestion ni Atticus. Inayos niyang upo at nagkunwarang busy sa pag-inom ng tubig. Oh my God! Oh my God! Paulit-ulit na usal niya sa isip. They just kissed. She just kissed Atticus and Atticus kissed her. She kissed her boss. Naulinigan niya ang dalawang tao nag-uusap mula sa loob ng bahay at mga yabag papalapit. Pagdakay sumunga mula sa doorframe si Atticus, kasamang isang middle-aged na lalaki na mas matangkad dito. He was obviously very good-looking in his heyday. Dalalata pa rin yun sa kabila ng gray hairs at linya sa noo and the slight punch underneath the white sports shirts. Mukha itong kagalang-galang at pilyo at the same time. Now Leah knew where Atticus got his naughty boyish charm from. Bakit dito mo tinatagong bisita mo sa dilim, Atticus? Yon ang unang sabi ng lalaki. Leah squirmed in embarrassment. Mukhang nalunod siya ang tiyuhin ni Atticus, like he knew what's going on. The dining room was stuffy, Uncle John. Don't be rude. This is Leah from the office. She is a law student at UST. Leah, this is my crusty old Uncle John. Ani Atticus nang makalapit ng mga ito. Tumayo siya at nakipagkamay sa matandang lalaki. Good evening po. Ani niya sa mababang tinig. Good evening. I cannot properly see you but you look too young to be in law school. How old are you? 19? She grinned hugely. Give or take. Ani niya. Ang lakas ng tao ng tiyuhin ni Atticus. Naupo ito sa isang silya sa harap ni Leah. I have a few barkadas na nag-aaral pa sa UST na mga abogado na ngayon. You might know Ludwig Lopez? Professor ko po siya dati sa political science subjects nung undergrad. Sagot niya. Atticus groaned. No, I met her first, Uncle. Out of place niyo ako niyan. Naupo uli si Atticus, pero napansin ni Leah na umisod ito ng kaunti palayo sa kanya. Let's not talk of old people, shan't we? Baling nito sa kanya. Nakipag-usap lang siya ng ilang saglit sa uncle ni Atticus at nagpaalam na rin siya. Tahimik silang dalawa habang daan. Nakatingin siya sa bintana. Nagulat siya nang biglang kunin ni Atticus ang kamay niya. He brought it to his lips while looking straight ahead. Libo-libong tanong ang nagsasalambayan sa isip niya. But she had a feeling asking them would ruin the moment. She liked him holding her hand. It was the most wonderful thing in the world. Nang mga sumunod na araw, naging busy si Atticus. Madalas ay nasa labas ito, meeting with clients. There were days when he did not come to the office at all. On those days, he would call Leah on her desk phone. Minsan, prank calls. Minsan just to tell her what he had been doing. Papipiliin siya kung anong ulam ang kakainin nito for lunch or itatanong kung anong ginagawa niya. Bago siya matulog, nakikipagkulitan dito sa text. Leah wanted to ask kung ano na ba sila. But other than that kiss sa lanay and the phone calls, Atticus had told her nothing. At nakakahiya ko siya manguna. Kahit nganinganin niyang tanongin ito kung magkaano nga ba sila. Ano ba? Ako ba may kailangang malaman? Nakataas ang kilay ni Rose habang nakatitig sa kanya. She had just put the phone down after Atticus had described a weird stranger in a coffee shop. And she was smiling. Wala. Bakit? Patay mali siya niyang sagot. Pati ba naman ako paglilihiman mo pa? Eh ako numero ng unong chismosa dito. Pero may nagtatanong na sa akin at wala akong maisagot. Kumunot ang noon niya. Nagtatanong? Sino? Dito sa office. Rose seemed to say something but Leah chose to ignore it. Atticus was happy. For the past 2 years sa pagsisimula ng SAS, okupado ng mga problema ang karaniwan na nagsisimulang negosyo, ang lahat ng energies niya. He did not feel exactly unhappy, but now he was feeling giddy, like a schoolboy. In meetings, he would see Leah busting around, handing out presentation handouts, coffee. She would smile at partners who offered small talk or who would tease her. She seemed shy but friendly, always ready to smile back. Madalas he would find himself wanting to call her at odd times of the day. Pero pinipigilan niyang sariling gawin yon. Kagaya ngayon, napadaan siya sa flower shop. He had an impulse to get some wild calla lilies for Leah. But when he was driving home, umurong ang atay niya. Anong iisipin ni Leah sa lahat ng yun? Ipinasya niyang ipagpaliban na lamang ang pagbibigay ng bulaklak. Bahagya siyang nagulat na makitang may ibang sasakyan nakaparada sa kanilang driveway. Humahango sa sumulubong ang kanyang kuya Alfred pagkababa niya ng sasakyan. Atticus, ang daddy mo nandito. Waring excited na balita nito. Atticus was shocked. Ha? Hindi siya nagpasabi. Nalilito niyang tanong. Naghihintay sila sa lanay. Ani Alfred at waring tinutulak na siya papasok ng bahay. Nalaman ni Atticus ang sila na tinutukoy ni Alfred when he reached the lanay. His father was fit as ever. Kahit puti na lahat ng buhok nito, ang mga mata ay alerto pa rin. His posture straight. His face appeared to be as young as 50 instead of 65 years. Sa tabi nito ay ang taong matagal nang hindi nakikita ni Atticus. Elise Ramona. Atticus! Elise walked up to him, giving him a hug. She smelled like fresh dew. Oh my gosh! Look at you! You've grown! Anito sabay tawa at bumaling sa kanyang papa. Tito, look at him! I'm looking, Iha. Nakangiting sagot ang matandang lalaki. Kamusta ka, iho? I'm in shock. Tanging nasabi ni Atticus. Elise still had her arm around him. Tumawa ito sa sinabi niya. It was my idea. We wanted to surprise you. Anitong tuwang-tuwa sa reaksyon niya. My, I missed you. What are you guys doing here? Tanong niya. I have come to see this company of yours na pinagmamalaki nitong si Elise. And I understand your engagement. Nakangiti ang kanyang papa sa kanilang dalawa ni Elise. Elise was looking up at him. I guess I'm tired of running around the globe, Atticus. I have decided to come home. To you. Deklara nito, her eyes shining. I am accepting your proposal. Atticus was wildly confused for a moment. Then he remembered. Noong last time sila nagkausap sa telepono, about 2 years ago, and he was just getting some funding for SAS. He had asked her to come home and marry him. Tinawanan siya ni Elise at sinabing maraming pa itong gustong gawin. Atticus had told her to come home when she was tired of it all and that he would be waiting. And now here she was, in his arms, in his life. He did not know what to say. So hinawak na lamang niyang kamay nito at ginitian ang babae. Hindi mapakali si Leah sa kinaupuan. Kanina pa niya gustong magtanong kay Rose pero nahihiya siya. Ano na lang bang iisipin nito? Wala siyang maisip na official reason para tanungin ang whereabouts ng binata. At malamang may kung anong iisipin si Rose tungkol doon. Kagabi pa walang text o tawag ang binata. Wala man siyang karapatan para umasa sa regular nitong text. Nakasanayan niya iyon kaya naninibago siya. She noticed that people were converging malapit sa conference room. Parang may mga bagong dating. Saktong dumaan si Owen kaya tinawag niya ito. Sir Owen! Lumingon ang lalaki. Ano nangyayari? Bakit? Magulo yata. Hindi mo alam? Nandito lahat ng big bosses at board. Birthday ni Sir Felipe, yung dati ni Chief Atticus. Humahango sa dumating si Rose. Mukhang galing ito sa taas. Girl, tulungan mo ako. We have to call like 100 people. Ipapaayos natin ang function hall sa baba. Magdadatingan ng mga imbitado mamaya. Bakit sa yaman ng mga taong to, hindi lang sa hotel mag-celebrate? Ang liit-liit kaya nitong office natin. Si Sir Atticus ang may gusto nito. Gusto yata ipagmalaki ang office sa daddy niya. Then Atticus understood. Hindi pa pala na ipapakita ni Atticus ang SAS sa dad nito. Malamang excited na excited ang binata. Pero bakit hindi nito nabanggit man lamang sa kanya? Dati maski flavor ng ice cream gusto nitong subukan itinetext sa kanya. Napailing siya. Noong huling linggo rin nanibago siya sa kilos nito. The last time they talked was on the phone and he sounded distracted. She felt a little hurt because of it. Para palubagin ang loob, iniisip na lamang niyang ganoon siguro dahil sa sobrang excitement at sa dami ng ginagawa ay nakalagtan na niyang kwentuhan ng binata. She resolved to stay cheerful. This was Atticus' big day. She should be happy along with him. Inaayos na Leah ang mga bulaklak sa centerpiece nang pumasok si Matthew kasama si Feby, ang receptionist. Very nice, Leah. Feby, anong oras daw darating yung pianist? In an hour, sir. Ang romantic naman na Sir Atticus. Parang kinikilig na sabi ni Feby. Leah, eto yung place names oh. Ikaw nang bahala mag-ayos kung saan sila uupo. Tinanggap ni Leah mga place cards. Anong meron kay Sir Atticus? Pilit niyang pinakaswal ang tono. May kakaiba na talaga siyang nararamdaman. Para nanginginig ang mga kamay niya kaya ibinaba niya iyon upang itago mula sa mga kaharap. It is supposed to be a secret, but now that you know, i-announce daw ng Secretary Felipe ang engagement ni Sir Atticus sa fiancé niya. Leah did not seem to have heard Matthew correctly. Nakatitig lang siya sa lalaki. Kahit nga kami hindi namin alam yan eh. 2 taon pa lang naman. Wala kami nababalita ang girlfriend o fiancé si Chief. Nagulat na lang kami nang tumawag sa Secretary Felipe kanina. Kwento ni Matthew. Tumango si Leah. Then she dropped the place cards on the table. Teka lang ha, mag-CCR lang ako. Aniya sa dalawa at naglakad patungo sa washroom. Ang galing nga niya at hindi bumigay ang tuhod niya habang naglalakad. When she reached the washroom, pumasok siya sa isang cubicle at nilakang pinto niyon. Fiancé! Nanlalamig siya. Parang may kung anong umuugong sa tenga niya. She held her head in her hands. Sinubukan niyang pakalmahin ang sarili. Leah, you don't know what's going on. There is no use going to panic without getting the facts first. Baka na-misunderstand lang ni Matthew ni Auntie Fevy ang instructions ni Atticus. Baka isa sa mga kapatid nito ang engaged at hindi si Atticus. Then Leah slapped her forehead. She couldn't have fallen to the same trap like before. Nagtiwala at nahulog sa isang lalaki na mabilis ang dila. Then she winced. Wala naman sila ni Atticus, hindi ba? Ano ba sila? Nagte-text. He kissed her at hinayaan niya ito. It felt wonderful being with him and he seemed happy to be with her. Pero wala itong binanggit tungkol sa estado. Sa relasyon nila. At hindi ito demonstrative sa harap ng mga katrabaho. Gusto niyang matawa. Dati siyang pinagtaksilan. Ngayon siya naman ang third party. Hindi naman nagkakaroon ng fiancé ang isang tao sa loob lang ng 1 linggo. Malamang matagal na itong karelasyon ni Atticus. At parang ginawa lamang siyang libangan habang wala ito. She took a deep breath. Pinilit niyang wag munang isipin ng mga iyon. May tendency kasi siyang mag-overthink ng mga bagay-bagay. Sarili lang niyang pinapagod niya. Tumayo siya at lumabas ng cubicle. Inayos ang sarili at bumalik sa labas. Leah, nandiyan na yata lahat ng mga bisita sa baba. Gusto mo bang sumamang bumaba? Ani Rose. Nag-a-apply ito ng lipstick. Tinitingnan ko lang ang buffet table. Mauna ka na, Rose. Isa-shutdown ko lang ang PC ko. Tahimik na sagot niya. She moved away from the window. Oh sige, sumunod ka na. Rose paused. Parang may gusto itong sabihin kay Leah. Then thought better of it. Iniwan na siya nito. Naiwan siya sa 4th floor. Isa na lamang arkitekto ang nasa taas at may ginagawa sa drawing board. Hindi na pinansin ni Leah kung sino iyon. Matapos si shutdown ng PC ay muli niyang chinek ang cellphone. Walang ni isang text message. Bumuntong hininga siya, tumayo na. Then her message alert tone sounded. Kinakabahang tinignan niya kung sino nagpadala ng mensahe. Hoping against hope na si Atticus nga iyon. Explaining everything. Nalaglag ang mga balikat niya nang mabasang galing kay Rose iyon. Girl, nakalimutan ko yung flowers dyan sa cubicle ko. Pakidala dito please. Sunod ka. Asap. Kinuha niyang naturang mga bulaklak mula sa mesa ni Rose. It was a bouquet of pink calla lilies. Napakaganda at elaborate na arrangement iyon. Dinala niya ang mga bulaklak at bumaba na sa third floor. Mukhang maraming ang tao roon. Lumampas siya sa foyer na walang tao. Mukhang pati si Fevy na nakikiisyo sa okasyon dahil bakante yung pwesto nito sa kabila ng front desk. Tinignan niya ang sarili sa glass door. Maayos pa naman ang tailored jacket na gray over her white linen blouse and matching skirt. Her hair was loose and free at kakasuklay lang niyon, kaya hindi na siya mukhang dugyot. Sa sentro ng showroom kung saan nakapwesto ang mesa at upong inarkila nila ay nagkatipon-tipon ng mga bisita. Matthew was conducting a presentation using a PowerPoint sa gitna, telling the history of SAS. Iginalan niyang paningin hanggang makita niya si Atticus, who was seated on one of the chairs to Matthew's right. Nagtama ang mga paningin nila and she wanted to smile. But then a woman leaned towards Atticus and obscured her view of him. Nakilala niyang babae. Ito ang nasa larawan sa bahay ng mga Bustamante. Ang prom date ni Atticus. She looked incredibly beautiful in a crisp white shirt and gray jeans. At isang pares ng flats ang pansapin nito sa paa. Her hair was pulled back in a tasteful ponytail. The woman wore only a pair of diamond studs in her dainty ears and an expensive-looking watch on her delicate wrist. Mukha itong prinsesa sa isang kaharian na umattend ng isang public event. Prim itong mupo at mukhang may importante itong tatanong kay Atticus tungkol sa presentation ni Matthew. Leah, akin na, para kay Miss Elise ito. Biglang sumulpot sa harap niya si Fevy at kinuha ang mga bulaklak sa kanya. Miss Elise? Ani ang parang engot kay Fevy. Oo, yung katabi ni Sir Atticus, yung kamukha ni Donita Rose. Ang ganda niya, no? Yun lamang at tumalikod na ang receptionist. She stood there like an idiot for a moment, and then fled the room. When Atticus looked again, the doorway was empty. Sa bus pa uwi, hindi alam ni Leah ang mararamdaman. Nag-text siya kay Rose na masamang pakiramdam at kailangan mag-review para sa klase kinabukasan. Wala itong sinabi kundi, ingat ka. Pinagpasalamat niya ang hindi ito pangungulit sa kanya. Pakiramdam ni Leah gusto niyang umiyak, pero walang lumabas na luha sa mga mata niya. She guessed she is numbed. Parang nauulit ang masamang pakiramdam noon nang matuklasan niya ang panloloko ni Isaac. The only difference was, walang halong galit ngayon. All she felt was a great, yawning emptiness. Pumasok ka? Mukhang gulat si Rose. 9:00 ng umaga. Bakit hindi? Marami akong pending eh. Ani at bali walang nilapag ang bag sa mesa. Akala ko kasi may exams ka this week eh. Next week pa. Sagot niya at binuksan na ang computer. Tumalikod siya sa babae para hindi na siya kwentuhin ito. But Rose was persistent. Nagsalita pa rin ito. Okay ka na? Anito? I'm fine. Maikli niyang sagot. Bigla siya napalingon nang may narinig na ingay sa entrance ng opisina. Atticus walked in the Elise. This time nakasummer dress ng babae na may blue and white floral prints. She was wearing flats din. Kamukha nga nito si Donita Rose. Slimmer, curvier Donita Rose. Ang puti nito parang never dinapuan ng lamok sa talambuhay. She was clutching a doll sa shoulder bag at nakipag-usap ito kay Matthew at isa pang engineer sa hindi kalayuan. Hindi niya maulinigan ang pinag-uusapan ng mga ito. Sinikap niyang wag maligaw ang tingin sa mga ito. All her efforts were worthless though, dahil sa gilid ng mga mata niya ay nakita niyang papalapit si Atticus at si Elise sa kanyang pwesto. She strived to look busy. Tumikim si Atticus. Leah? Anito na parang nabulol pa. Leah looked up at him. Yes, sir? Aniya sa mababang tinig. Hello! Napakaganda ng ngiti ni Elise. Siguro kung saplada ito madaling kainisan. Naisip ni Leah, but the woman exuded goodness. Mistulang wala ito ni isang mean bone sa katawan. She spoke with an accent, her voice well modulated. Hello po. Magalang iyang bati sa bati nito. Ngumitiran siya. Hindi lamang siya sigurado kung kasing genuine iyon ang ngiti ni Donita Rose. Elise, this is Leah. She is one of the smartest assistants we've ever had. Leah, this is Elise, ate ko said. I've heard about you. Nakangiting sabi ni Leah, tinanggap ang nakalahad na palad ni Elise. It's nice to meet you po, aniya. She supposed Elise was only being polite, but it was really nice to meet the woman. It was hard, but it was understandable why any man would choose this woman over anyone else, over her. She swallowed a lump in her throat. Tumaas ang kilay ni Elise kay Atticus. You have been talking about me. I hope hindi niya ako sinisiraan sa'yo, Leah. Sosyal patitawan nito. Hindi naman po, sagot niya. Napansin niyang Atticus was looking distinctly uncomfortable. Buti nga. So let me show you the plans we've drawn up for your mom's gallery. I'm sure marami pang gagawin si Leah kaysa makipagchismisan sa atin. Sabad ng binata, holding Elise's elbow. Okay, Leah, it was nice meeting you. See you later. Mainhing paalam ng babae. Ngumiti lang siya bilang paalam. Ayaw man ay nakita niyang inalayan ng lalaki ang babae, paakyat ng alcove. Buti na lang wala mga tao sa baba ng hagdan, kung hindi, mabobosohan ng precious fiancé ni Atticus. Bumalik siya sa pagtitig sa computer. Nang umangat ang mukha ay napansin nakatitig si Rose sa kanya. Leah ignored her. Isang linggo ang nakalipas nang muling makita ni Leah si Atticus. Nagbakasyon daw ito kasamang ama't si Elise sa Palawan, kung kaya nawala ng ganoong katagal. Nagngat-ngat man ng selos ay pilit pinatatag ni Leah ang kanyang sarili. She had work to do, school classes to attend. Pinilit niya mag-focus at pag-isipin ang nangyari. Nang tanghaling iyon, nasa showroom siya at iniimis na nagkalat ng mga coffee cups at presentation materials sa conference table. The door to the foyer opened and in came Atticus. Nag-iisa ito. He looked a little tanned, refreshed. She wanted to run to him. Hi, bati nito. Sumulyap lamang siya dito at pinagpatuloy ang paglilipat ng mga kalat. You shouldn't be doing that. Maintenance is supposed to clean up. Salita pa ulit ni Atticus. Both of his hands were inside his khaki pants pocket. Leah shrugged. May ginagawa pa sila. Mag-uumpisa ng meeting ng Sir Owen with the lawyers dito mamaya. Formal ang tinig niya. Walang halong emosyon. Hindi siya tumitingin sa binata. Pasensya ka na ha? Hindi na kita nababalitaan lately. He ventured. That is the understatement of the year. Isip ni Leah. Mukha na siyang matawa pero pinigil niya. A ballpen she would pick up dropped to the floor. Yumuko siya para kunin yun pero naunahan siya ni Atticus. Inabot ito ang ballpen sa kanya pero tumayo siya kaagad at lumibot sa kabila ng mesa. Sinamsam niyang naipong gamit at dali-daling humakbang patungo sa pinto. Atticus was quick. Nahawakan itong braso niya bago siya nakalayo. Leah, please don't be angry at me. Bakit naman ako magagalit? She said in an even tone. Her face full of the hurt she dared not express. Hindi mo ko kinakausap. Hindi mo ko tinitingnan. What am I supposed to do for you to forgive me? Ano ba sa tingin mo ang kasalanan mo? Mahinang tanong niya, looking at her shoes. Hindi ko sinabi dahil I did not mean for anything to happen in the first place. You are just one of our employees and... Well, you're right. I am just one of your employees. What's the big deal? It's not like anything's changed. Huwag kang mag-alala. Hindi ako magiging liability sa iyo in any way. Go on as before. God, she hated sounding so pathetic. Yung nagpapaawa, nagpapakamartir, but she could not help it. She had to say something, or sasabog siya sa matinding hinanakit na alam niyang wala siyang karapatang isatinig. God, I didn't mean it that way. Leah, please understand, ani Atticus. Understand? Ang alin? Na pinagmukha mo akong tanga? Na all this time there was Elise and she had been there. Oh, for God's sake, tigilan na natin to. Walang kwenta tong pinag-uusapan natin eh. Just leave me be. Utang na loob. Kung may pagpapahalaga ka pa sa akin bilang kakilala, bilang empleyado niyo dito sa kumpanyang ito, you will just leave me alone. That's the best thing you can do. Leah, please, please Atticus, go away. Binawin niyang braso at mabilis na umalis sa kwartong iyon. Kahit tinatamad pumasok, pinilit ni Leah ang sariling bumangon at maligo. She had to go to school. Hindi niya ugaling umabsent. Katwiran niya, sayang pagpapakapagod niyang pagsabay ng pag-aaral at trabaho kung mamimiss siya ng classes at mapapabayaan ng pag-aaral. She could not lose focus now, especially when she is nearer her goal. Dumaan ng ilang klaseng bagyo sa buhay nila. Ang pagkamatay ng papa niya, ang pagkakasakit ng Auntie Lily, her grandparents passing away, Alphon leaving her. She had weathered all that and grown so much. A man like Atticus, whom she had only known for half a year, could not topple her. That was what she kept on telling herself. Ano lang ba yun? A few kisses, a couple of text messages. Wala lang yun. These days, it did not always mean a thing. Walang ibang dapat sisihin kundi siya. Ang laki ng bilib niya sa sarili kung kaya ang dali niyang mauto. Sa kabila niyon, kahit nagtagumpay siyang wag ipahalata ang totoong nararamdaman sa pamilya, inside she was crumbling. She felt alternately miserable and angry. It was a job to wake up and get up from her bed. But as before, she knew immersing herself in work and schoolwork was a good panacea. Ayaw niyang pagbigyan ng pagkakataon ng sarili na magdwell masyado sa nararamdaman. To wallow meant to indulge in endless cycle of self-pity. Ayaw na niyang bumalik sa ganoong sitwasyon. Ngayon, more than ever, nahangad niyang sana'y may best friend siyang pwede niyang mapagsabihan ng lahat. Nangihinayang siyang hindi niya nakahiligan na makipaglapit sa mga kapwa babae. Ang tanging niyang kausap ay ang mga tao sa bahay. There were days when she was strong and back to her old self before she knew Atticus. Then suddenly she would see a place they had passed by. A chair he had sat on. Isang gamit sa opisina o sa bahay na hinawakan ni Atticus, and she felt this sharp pang. During the day, she managed to function, with the thought of Atticus getting married to someone else fading into the background like a dull ache. Pilit niyang hindi iniisip para maggawa niyang trabaho. Nakabisa may nabasa para sa klase. Masagot ang simpleng tanong ng mga tao sa paligid. Kumain ka na? San ka bababa, miss? Is Engineer Adolfo in? Anong araw na ba ngayon? Handa na ba ang quarterly budget report? Napaliguan na ba si Bella? At night, in the privacy of her room, away from prying eyes and endless questions of people that seemed to tire her, she could let herself go. Ayaw man niyang umiyak, hindi niya mapigilan. She missed Atticus terribly. Sa trabaho, Leah did not allow herself to pick up at the gallery para masilayan ang pamilya ng pinto ng opisina nito. She would not allow her gaze to wander over to where his car was parked in its usual spot tuwing dumadaan siya sa parking lot ng building. She did not allow herself to think of him during the day, but at night, she could not stop the tears from falling. She missed him like hell. Ang pagtawag nito sa kanya ng Leah, na kung tutuusin ay katulog ng Biblia. Pero para sa paninig ni Leah ay may espesyal na lambing dahil si Atticus lamang tumatawag niyon sa kanya. Ang habit nitong pagpisil sa kanyang pisngi o paghagod sa kanyang likuran. Ang halik nito, ang boses, ang mga text at tawag, ang biglang pagsulpot ito sa desk niya at odd hours of the day sa opisina. It was all she could do not to call him, to text to ask how he was doing. It was all she could do not to cry, like a baby, to her mama Vivian. Siya lang ang tanga. Siya ang nag-assume kaya dapat sarili niyang pait na dulot ng mali niyang akala. She knew she would eventually get over him, just as she got over Isaac. Ang iba ngayon ay kung dati. Isaac really hurt her because of his cold and selfish personality. She knew Atticus was the opposite. He was warm, he was kind-hearted, and she could not accept the fact na nakaya niya itong saktan nang ganon-ganon na lang. Pero sa tuwing maiisip niya kung bakit, she had to concede defeat. Sina Atticus at Elise ang bagay. She was a fool to believe there could be anything more than a weird friendship between her and Atticus. Kahit si Rose napansin ang kakaiba niyang katahimikan. Hindi na siya nito masyadong kinukulit o tinutudyo. Pero isang araw naglakas daw itong magsalita. Leah, sorry ha. Masyadong private si Sir Atticus eh. Di ko talaga natunugan na may fiancé na pala siya. Alam mo, mabait yun. At matsika na ako matsika. Nagbibiro at nagkakantsawan. But his personal life, wala akong access talaga. Nakita mo naman kahit na mga kasamahan niya arkitekto, hindi kilala sa Elise. Kung alam ko lang, hindi kita biniyudo eh. Ang buong akala ko talaga, matinuyang si Sir Atticus. Parang altar boy eh. Nakikisimpat siya nitong anas na makasabay niya ito sa washroom. Hula ni Leah ay sinadya nitong makasabay siya roon dahil lagi siya nagkukunwaring busy at hindi naririnig ang attempts nitong makipag-usap kapag nasa work area sila. Hindi rin siya sumasabay sa lunch at break hours. Rose, hindi ka dapat nagsasorry. Malumanay niyang sagot. Hindi eh, nagigilty ako. Kung ano na kasing pinagsasabi ko sa'yo ng first day. Dapat kasi nag-research muna ako, especially na makita kong napapalapit ka na sa kanya. Kahit naman kumalat yung bulong-bulungan sa office about sa inyo, dinedefend ko pa kayong dalawa eh. Wala kasi ako nakikitang special treatment. Work-wise sa'yo mula kay boss. If you don't include the frequent visits na kung tutuusin eh, baliwala lang din. Pakiramdam ko kasi naging pabaya ako sa'yo. Knowing na bata ka ba at Leah, okay ka lang ba? Patuloy nito. Mukhang guilty talaga ang babae. It's not your fault. Hindi mo ko responsibilidad. At isa pa kahit anong sabihin ng ibang tao, desisyon ko pa rin kung anong gagawin ko. I am fine. Pero ano yung sinasabi mong bulong-bulungan? Tanong niya. Parang atubili pang magsalita ito. Kasi napansin lang nila malambing sa'yo si Sir Atticus na parang ikaw na lang ang lagi napapansin. Malisyosa na din kasi kami dito. Sa konti namin tayo-tayo lang din ang nagkakachismisan. Pero wala naman kayong pinapakitang kakaiba. Kaya wala silang maiba to sa inyo. Natahimik siya. As before, naging oblivious siya sa kapaligiran. Hindi niya naisip na pwedeng mahalatangan ng ibang pakikitungo ni Atticus sa kanya. Nagpatuloy ito. Kahit na ayaw kong malis ka dito, kung sa palagay mo mas makakabuti yun sa'yo, hindi kita pipigilan. Hinawakan itong balikat niya. Sympathy in her eyes. Nabasa ko resignation letter na dinadraft mo sa PC mo nung tumayo ka at kumuha ka ng tubig. Hindi mo na ilak ang PC mo. I'm sorry for being a snoop pero hindi ko sinadyang mabasa eh. Tumango lang siya. I'll just wait out the semester. Saka ako magde-decide kung anong gagawin. Hindi rin ako pwedeng basta-basta magdesisyon. I promise I will let you know. Kung ano man yun, basta ikaw lang muna makakaalam ha? Inakbayan siya ng babae. Ang pretty mo kasi at mukhang nene ng daling paamuin. Kung afford ko lang mawalan trabaho, makakatikim sa akin si Boss Atticus eh. Hindi ko talaga akalaing may gagawin siyang ganito kasama sa kabila ng kabaitan niya. Thank you, Rose. Tanging nasabi niya. Agad na siyang lumayo at lumabas ng restroom. Natatakot siyang mag-breakdown sa harap nito. She had done that before, sa dating pinapasukan, and she regretted it. She could not afford emotional displays in the workplace. Hey, sweetie, you look so far away. Is there anything wrong? Pukaw ni Elise kay Atticus. They were strolling together sa Greenbelt matapos lumuna ng misa sa Ayala Chapel. They were holding hands and Elise was telling a story. Nang paakyat na sila sa escalator, napukaw ang atensyon ni Atticus na makita ang isang babaeng pababa ng escalator, talking animatedly to her friend. His heart pounded with excitement sa pag-aakalang si Leah iyon. She wore her hair the same way. Was Leah's height and her voice reminded her of Leah's. Pero ibang tao pala yun, hindi si Leah. Napagtanto niya nang mapalapit siya rito at malagpasan ito sa escalator. He felt an incredible sense of loss. Guiltily, he kissed Elise's hand. Sorry, I was thinking about something. What did you say? Aniya. Sa halip na sumagot, tinitigan siya ng mata ni Elise. She had an unnerving way of staring at the person and correctly discerning that person's feelings. It was one of her ways. Atticus looked away and fumbled for something to say. Atticus, you seem different. What happened while I was away? Elise asked in her characteristic gentle way of prying. Anong different? Well, I worked out, so I probably look buffed up to you. Ani ang nakangiti. Hey, do you want to get ice cream? I think I saw Häagen-Dazs on the way up. We passed it already, Atticus. Ani Elise. Besides, I'm on a diet. Ang taba-taba ko na nga eh. She delicately patted her flat tummy. Atticus said she was entirely too thin these days. Leah would have been excited to get ice cream. He did not think he would ever heard Leah utter the word diet the entire time he had known her. Tuwi na game ito sa mga ideya niya. Si Elise ay isang prinsesa na kailangan ingatan, alagaan. She was smart and funny, yes, but in a highbrow way. Iba ang gusto nitong gawin. Museum trips, ballet performances. Walang masama doon, and Atticus enjoyed them every once in a while. But once in a while too, all he wanted was to let loose and put his feet up, talk and play video games. He thought he was just a typical dude. Napakaswerte niya kung ang isang tulad ni Elise sa makakatuluyan niya. Gentle manners, intelihente, accomplished, galing sa isang buena familia. Her classy breeding showed in the tasteful white sleeveless Chanel dress she wore, every strand of her hair in place, the subtle scent of her Burberry perfume, the expensive but discreet diamond stud she wore on her ears, every movement of her graceful neck, the measured way she spoke, her impeccable manners. Lahat ng magagandang katangian na pwedeng mahiling ng isang lalaki sa isang mapapangasawa ay nasa katauhan ni Elise. And yet he felt as if he was making a big mistake. Ang engagement dinner nila ay kinagabihan na, but he felt so torn, helpless kung ano ang gagawin. He had never felt like such a coward before then. Hinayaan niyang tangay na yamang siya ng Agos. His brothers called, happy and congratulating him. Lilipad pa uwi ang kanyang mama next week. He had known Elise since she was 10. They move in each other's worlds. Hindi ba lateral lang na sila magkatuluyan in the end? Atticus, what is it? Atticus looked at Leah, so immaculate in the moonlight, and saw only Leah's face as she looked nang paluto niya ito. When he kissed her sa lanay, her heavy-lidded eyes looking at him, like they had never found any sight as lovely as him. He put his head on his hands. Elise, Elise, you are so... I am such an idiot. Nakaupo siya sa labas ng hotel ballroom. His tie askew. Is it the girl in the office? The one who gave you the funny sweater? Tahimik na tanong nito. Atticus looked up again, shocked. Elise. Pero hindi niya maituloy-tuloy ang sasabihin. Well, I'm not such an idiot. Have you forgotten how smart I am? But her smile was sad and a little wistful. She put her hands on her lap primly, staring out at the darkness. I guess I was a little arrogant and conceited. Para isipin na after 2 years, you'd still be feeling the same way. Yun kasi ang pagkakakilala ko sa'yo, Atticus. Even when we were kids, you kept your promises. I made you wait and I thought I'm worth the wait. And then day by day, after my excitement at seeing you again wore off, napansin ko ang kaibahan mo. I discovered you weren't as excited as I am to see you. Na hindi na ikaw ang dating Atticus sa laging nakanganga sa lahat ng sasabihin ko. Nasusunod sa lahat ng maisipan kong gawin. Elise, no, I was just... Shh. She touched her finger to his lips to silence him. It is definitely not me because I am way too divine for anyone to resist. Unless one already has set his heart on someone else. And you seemed like to have done so. So after that, nag-observe pa ako. And I noticed the girl in the office. The one in the corner. The one you were always stealing glances at. Atticus smiled. He did not know what to say. He should have known something like this would not escape Elise. She had always been an excellent judge of character. It was one of the things about her that mesmerized him. She sometimes laughed too loud and it had a funny sound after. Butas-butas sa mga pambahay niya. But she is smart. She goes to law school and very dedicated. She sends herself to school. Her father passed away before she finished high school. She has a dog named Portia. And she licks her fingers when she eats, kahit nakakutsara. She is very funny kapag at ease but outwardly, she is shy, tahimik. She cares deeply about people. She loves her brother and sisters to pieces even when they fought all the time. Maingay sa bahay nila pero maraming pagkain at maraming tao pag uwi mo. She is fierce when she is angry, but she forgives ever so easily. And she cries at the same movies she watched 1,000 times. She sounds lovely. Nakangiting komento ni Elise nang huminto siya. She caught his hand in hers and smiled at him. You are so perfect. For years, I did not think any other woman could ever compare to you. But I kept picking women who seemed to like you. Intelligent, driven, maganda, the works. Ang totoo, hindi naman nila maaagaw ang atensyon ko dahil nakaset na sa isip ko na you will always eclipse them in every way. So none of my past relationships survived after 2-3 months. Then Leah, she was all the things I had not met for a while. With her, I can be myself. At the same time, she has made me feel like whatever I'm doing is okay. That I'm brilliant, although wala siyang sinasabi to flatter me. She just took everything for granted, and I felt like stopping after years of going after people's expectations of me. Sa kanya, parang naramdaman ko okay na ako. I am set and I am good, you know? And I miss her when I don't see her. And yet these past few weeks, natatakot akong harapin ulit siya. Because of the damage that I've done. I shouldn't be the one reading you this. You know? Nakatingin si Elise sa kababata. Elise, I am so sorry for being such an idiot. I should have told you. Told someone. Well, we can all be stupid at one time or another. Ang importante maitama mong damat itama. And pray that you are not too late. It's the choices we make every day that shapes our lives. So be careful about what you choose. Sabi pa ng dalaga. Ma, si Kuya Atticus ata yun, oh. Kotse niya yan, hindi ba? Si Jaden, habang binibilang ang baong iniabot ng ina. Umangat ang ulo ng ginang mula sa patas na condensed milk na pinupunasan. 8:00 noon ng umaga. Aba, kay Atticus nga yan. Kumpirma ng ginang na makitang pulang Ford 150 sa kalsada. Bumaba ng sasakyan ng binata at tinumbok ang tindahan. Binati nito si Jaden na pagkuway umalis na papuntang school. Mama Vivian, sorry ho sa abala. Si Leah ho? Tanong ni Atticus. Andun at hindi pa bumabangon. Masama daw ang pakiramdam eh. Akala ko tumawag na sa opisina nyo. Batang yun talaga, oo. Yes, she called in sick. My secretary told me. Okay lang po bang kausapin, Mama? Nakiuusap ang mga mata niya. Nagtataka man itumango si Mama Vivian. Aba, eh di sige, pumasok ka na lang. Ando naman si Mama Lily mo. May problema ba, Ate Kus? Wala naman po, pero gusto ko lang pong i-check si Ria. I'm worried about her. She is never sick. Kung sa bagay, tama ka. Sige, pumanhin ka na lang. Nag-breakfast ka na ba? Nakahain pa din kami. May pritong danggit at sinangag sa loob. Sabayan mo na lang si Ria kung gusto mo. Okay po, thank you Mama. Yun lamang at pumasok ng binata sa kabahayan. There was no one in the living room nang pumasok si Ate Kus, but somebody seemed to have the washing machine out, back in full swing. Sumasabay pa sa gramophone playing some music from the 60s sa drawer ng washing machine. Tanaw niya ang breakfast things ng pamilya sa dining table sa kusina, pero dumiretso siya sa hagdan. Leah's door was slightly ajar, so he knocked lightly. She was lying on her side, in the bed, facing the windows. Yakap-yakap nito ang giant hotdog pillow. Can I come in? Ani Ate Kus. Biglang bumalikwas si Leah, wide-eyed. What are you doing here? Gulat na tanong nito. Hindi pa ako nagtutoothbrush. She must have realized how stupid she sounded dahil bigla itong tumigil. She instead grabbed a huge pillow and hugged it against her. Anong klaseng amo ka? Bakit bigla kang pumapasok sa kwarto ng mga empleyada mo? Rose told me you called in sick. Are you okay? Yes. No. Did you have to come all the way here para lang siguraduhin na hindi ako nagsisinungaling? Ang mga empleyada mo? Leah, stop that. Iritadong sigaw ni Ate Kus. I just wanna know if you're okay. Well, eto ako. Buhay pa. Ngayon? I wanna say sorry. Please. Leah held up both of her hands. Stop saying sorry. I'm sick and tired of hearing you say sorry. It is annoying as hell. Nahiga siya at muling nagtalakbong ng kumot. Ate Kus could see was Betty Boop's scrunched up face on the double bed. Nagulat ang binata nang mapansing umuuga ng kaunti ang Betty Boop lamp. Then he realized Leah was crying underneath the comforter. Leah, no, don't cry. Tinuluhan niya ang dalaga sa higaan nito. He gingerly felt around to touch a place na hindi siya makakahawak ng kung ano. It's a good thing he'd left the door open. Leah, patawarin mo ko. I did not mean to hurt you. Hindi ko intensyong paabutin sa ganito. I didn't know what I was doing. You were so fun to be with and Stop explaining. You are just making it worse. Anang boses mula sa pinto. Startled, Ate Kus looked to see Ella standing by the door. From the depths of the Betty comforter came Leah's muffled voice. Get lost, Ella. Ano bang masama sa sinabi ko? Totoo yun. Confused na tanong ni Ate Kus na kay Ella na ngayon nakatingin. Ella rolled her eyes at him. Fun to be with? I didn't know what I was doing. Why don't you just tell her na meantime, libangan mo lang siya? Na isa siyang nakakalon intermission in between the main acts. I am not saying that. I like your sister Ella. I like you. You're her family. I would live in this house if you would let me and I would pay rent. I love Mama Vivian and Mama Lily. I love your life and I'm so sorry na ito pang nagawa ko. I just want Leah to forgive me. You're just another guy who played a little bit while the girlfriend was away. Iling-iling na sambit ni Ella. Shut up, Ella. Lumabas ka nga rito. Bakit mo ba kinakausap ang unggoy na yan? Muling sabat ni Leah sa ilalim ng kumot. Leah, get out from under there. Talk to me. Baling ni ate ko sa dalaga. Good luck. Huling saad ni Ella bago tutuloy ang umalis. Sinara nito ang pinto from behind her, which bewildered Ate Kus, but only a little. Dahil si Leah na ulit ang inatupag niya. Hinimas itong inaakalang kinaroroonan ng likod ng dalaga. Leah, please don't cry. It's my fault, I know. But please, huwag ka na magalit sa akin. Anong gusto mong gawin ko? Matuwa ako sa iyo? And would you please stop doing that? May kiliti ako sa tuhod. Leah finally resurfaced from beneath the covers, eyes wet and nose red from crying. Ate ko took his face on her hands. Poor baby, parasahan mo na ako. Anything, just please don't hate me forever. Leah almost closed her eyes. He was so near and he was wiping her tears with his hands and he was rubbing her shoulders, her back. She could smell him, feel his warmth and it felt so good to be near him again. Inalo siya nitong parang bata. He was his usual sweet, caring self. Tinulak niya ito palayo. Tama ka na nga, Ate Kus. Sawang-sawa na ako sa mga arte mo. Ayaw na kitang makita. Umalis ka na. Ate Kus looked hurt but he did not budge. I won't even leave until you forgive me. Gagawin ko lahat ng sasabihin mo. Saktan mo ako, tadyakan mo ako. Shut up! Shut up! Stop this! Kahit ano pang sabihin mo, it's not gonna make any difference. Akala mo ba kapag pinarusahan kita, mababawasan ang sakit na nararamdaman ko? Akala mo ba ganun lang kadali yun? Umalis ka na. Leah, I broke the engagement off with Elise, he said quietly. Natigilan siya. Napos ang pag-emote. Ano ka mo? I told her that I just don't love her the way I'm supposed to love someone I want to marry. It is just different now. Noon nakala ko she was made for me and that she is the perfect girl. We were so used to the idea na kami magkakasama habang buhay that I did not even think to question if I really loved her. I loved her. In my youth siguro. An ideal pero I grew up. I changed and you came along. You tantrumy, shy little firebrand you. You're everything I have never had before in my life and I cannot do without you. I want to be with you always. Leah could not seem to process what she was hearing. Lahat ng narinig niya magaganda, pero parang hindi yun ma-process ng utak niya. What was this beautiful man saying? Na mahal siya nito? Waring nabasa ni ate ko ang tanong sa isip niya. Leah, I am in love with you. I think I fell in love with you the moment you made me lemonade. Yes, that is the time. When you quite naturally did manual labor for me. When you could have just poured something from a bottle or something. You did it without thinking. It came so natural to you and it suddenly clicked in my mind. Here is a woman who would do something for me because she is like that. The kind who does things for someone else. Who would love me and care for me always, without thinking. Ginawan ko din ng lemonade si Isaac noon. Sabad niya, I am sure you did that because that's who you are. And I want that every day of my life. I have been thinking this past few weeks, ikaw ang gusto ko, Leah. But your parents? Ikaw na nga ang gusto ko eh. Biglang bumukas ang pinto. Niluwano yun si Ella at ang Mama Lily. Ate Cos and Leah both jumped. Wag mo nang kontrahin. Iiyak-iyak ka tapos itong ikaw nang pinipili, papakipot ka pa. Ang tatandang babae. Ate Cos laughingly turned back to Leah. Paano yan? Wala kang kakampi. Ako marami. Leah plummeled his chest. Nakakainis ka. Nakakainis ka. Pinabayaan mo akong malungkot. Di mo sinabi sa akin ang tagal-tagal bago ka nagbalik. I hate you. I know. I'm sorry but I had to take a step back to think clearly. Hindi ko gustong mag-suffer ka or anything. I wanted to be clear on everything before facing you again. Forgive me, Leah, please. Ate Cos drew her to her chest and kissed the top of her head. They heard the door closing and Ella saying, Loving-loving na yan. Tara na, auntie. Leah and Ate Cos laughed again. So, do you love me? Have I cured you of your man-hating tendencies? Ate Cos asked after a while. Suminghot-singhot pa muna siya bago sumagot. Here. Inabutan siya ni Ate Cos ng hanky mula sa bulsa nito. It smelled of him. Thank you, Ani Leah. I love you, Ate Cos. Ano? Hindi ko naintindihan. I love you, Ate Cos. I love you nga. Nanunuksong sabi pa nito. Alright, that will do. We'll say to each other over and over again every day. I promise you that at balang araw ikakasal tayo sa pinakasikat na simbahan sa buong bansa at ibibigay ko sa iyo ang pinaka-ingranding kasal sa abot ng makakaya ko. Alam kong ayaw mo ng ganun pero Leah, I want to give you the best. Hayaan mo kung i-spoiled ka, pati na rin ang magiging anak natin. Basta ipangako mo lang sa akin na mahal mo ko. Yun lamang ang nais ko mula sa iyo. Mahal na mahal kita, Leah. Ngumiti naman ng matamis si Leah bilang tugon sa mga sinabi ng binata. Ate Cos took her face in her hands and kissed her waiting lips. At dito na po nagtatapos ang simpleng pag-iibigan ni Leah at Ate Cos. Hanggang sa muli, salamat po!